Hello everybody, welcome to the Red Devil Experience. My name is Eric. We have the latest live breaking news surrounding Manchester United, all the transfer updates over the last 24 hours up to the minute right now. So we're going to get into all of that. Lots of news, obviously. We all know Matheus Cunha. Here we go. We got a little bit more details surrounding that, going a little bit deep into that. We got updates about Mbuemo, and we got some things about Liam Delap, Gyokeres, Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, Anthony, Garnacho, and a couple other pieces of loose news. So it's going to be a jam-packed show. Happy Monday. Hope everybody is doing well. Smash the like button, please, because it helps the channel grow. We greatly appreciate it. That's the best way for you to support the channel. If you want to go further, we're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. We're almost there. We're at 2,980. So if you enjoyed the content and you want to join the family and be part of the community, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell icon so you don't miss a live and you stay up to date with everything. But real quick, on a serious note, we have to do this real quick. So news just came out surrounding Liverpool, and I want to send my prayers, condolences to the people over in Liverpool. They're having, obviously, their trophy parade, and apparently a car has driven through the crowd and has struck a bunch of people. So I don't know exactly, if people, how many people have been injured. Hopefully nobody has died, but yeah, this is just it's all over the place now. It just happened about maybe 40 minutes ago or so, about an hour ago. So our prayers are with the people and their families and stuff. That's just absolutely disgusting and terrible. So I think football rivalry aside, man, I mean, you don't want that to happen to human beings, and it could have been us. What if it was Manchester United parade as well? I mean, it's just disgusting. There's no places for these things. So prayers up to those people. Yeah, I mean, I just seen it as I was going live. That's why I was taking a couple minutes, because I actually have some friends over in Malta that are Liverpool fans, and they actually went over there. So I was just messaging them to make sure that they were okay, because I don't know if they were there, and I don't know if they were involved or anything like that. So they told me that they're all safe and stuff, and they weren't near that. So that's at least good news. But I mean, yeah, just prayers and to those people, because that's just absolutely horrible. So yeah, but anyway, let's get on to Manchester United. I mean, that was kind of a vibe killer, but I just felt like it was the proper thing that we had to do. So Lyles here says, "Hey Eric and all you Reds," and Lyles says, "Oh man, that is horrible. Strength to the victims. Prayers up." Yep. I mean, listen, we don't like Liverpool as a football club, obviously, but nobody's gonna go that far. I mean, that's just absolutely heinous. So I hope those people are okay, man. It's sad to see. It's sad to see. And, we got to do our best to try and stop things like that going on in the world. I mean, people should be able to go out in the street and celebrate a football team winning, a league trophy without having the possibility of, being hurt or not making it back home. So, it's quite sad. It's quite sad. But let's shift a little bit gears, things that are more positive. Obviously, Cunha, we got the here we go from Fabrizio yesterday. And yeah, I mean, I thought we were probably gonna get it today. United didn't do me a favor because I wasn't around and I couldn't go live because we were live for about 3.5 hours yesterday. And I got off, and then shortly after, obviously, of course, Fabrizio comes after teasing us for about an hour and a half. Comes with the here we go. So it has been announced, and many people excited. Again, good player. But some more updates that go, a little bit more detail into this sort of stuff is that Chris Wheeler says Matheus Cunha could travel to Manchester United for medical this week once Manchester United makes the formal approach to Wolves. So Fabrizio was giving us the here we go, but United haven't actually put in the formal bid of the money. So it's not like it's 100% done, but I mean, Fabrizio gives you the here we go. It's pretty much done. It's just pretty much a formality, right? So It's not officially done, but we have the Fabrizio, here we go. So it's pretty much basically done. Everybody's saying it's done, which, you know, if Fabrizio puts it out, it's done. It's not, you know, it's not, nothing's going to happen. It's just a bunch of formalities, lawyer work, contracts, stuff like that. You know, so a couple more updates though into Cunha. This one says Manchester United will be required to pay 62.5 million fee for Matheus Cunha in 3 installments before the end of the 26-27 season. The first one is 20.8 million pounds upon purchase, followed by payments at the end of the next 2 seasons. The deal is at advanced stages. So if this is accurate, I mean, because I don't know too much about Sami Mokbel. He works for the BBC, but this was one of the options that's been talked about for a few weeks now, that United could do, because this is how Wolves has set up the buyout clause. Anyway, it's not, you don't pay 62.5 million up front. The deal between Wolves and Cunha is not structured like that. If somebody agrees to pay it, it's still in 3 installments. It's not 62.5 million straight up. We could do this. We could have done it the other way, where we amortized it over 5 years and maybe paid an extra 5 million over the 62.5 million. But it seems like United have chosen to do this. It still works. It's still good. Obviously, we would have saved more money. You know, in terms of per year, we would have paid a lower fee if we amortized it over 5 years. But this works well for us too. We paid 20.8 million up front the first year, and then obviously the following 2 payments that accumulate to 62.5 million pounds. Axe is here as well. Shout out Axe. How you doing, buddy? And we got this update as well. Fabrizio just coming back in saying United's contract is now being checked by lawyers. Manchester United will pay 62.5 million full package by the end of 2027. So just kind of reiterating that. From Sami Mokbel. So, yep, seemed to be on the money there, because he reported it first, I believe, before Fabrizio. So, then, just a little, you know, I guess tidbit. It's not really news, but Matheus Cunha has got more goals and assists in the league, 21, than Garnacho, Rasmus, and Joshua Zirkzee all put together. So we have gotten somebody that has some serious firepower, as they've said there. I mean, that's literally, you know, 3 players in our attack, and he's outbeaten all of them combined. So we do need this. This is good. I rate him. I like him. I think it's a good buy. I think not only is he Premier League proven, not only does he have the skill, like shooting ability, dribbling, good ball control, but I think also as a profile of a player, he fits quite well into Manchester United. You know, many people point out sort of his shithousery, his antics on the pitch. He has a little bit of a fiery spirit. You know, some people try to say that might be a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. I think we need more of that. I think we don't have enough of it. I think it adds some character to the squad. And we need people that are fighters. We need people that are strong-minded. We need strong characters at this football club. I think he's one that will be able to handle it quite well, because we spoke a lot about pressure at Manchester United yesterday, and I said, you know, people that they can't handle pressure, you can't be at this football club. You know, it doesn't matter if you're super skillful. If you can't handle the pressure, this football club will crush you. This football club will eat you alive. And actually, Anthony came out, and we'll speak about it towards the end of the show, but Anthony came out, did a whole sort of interview talking about his struggles at Manchester United, and it kind of plays hands into that. 15 goals, 6 assists, not 21. It says Dan what? That is 21. That is 21. 15 goals and 6 assists is 21. Am I missing something, or did I not do math correctly? So yeah. Anyway, I got sidetracked there. But going on to this, Fabrizio said Manchester United will pay 62.5 million full package for Matheus Cunha by the end of 2027 as planned. Cunha said yes to Man United even before UEL final. His contract is being checked by lawyers and it will be valid until June 2030 plus an option. So we got him for 5 years plus 1, so 6 years, which is good. If I'm not mistaken, he's 27 years old, if not, right? So pretty much for the rest of his career. You know, probably up until the end. So, yeah, good deal. Good deal that we've done here. And, you know, it's quickly already probably tried to move on to the next one because, you know, there's updates about Mbuemo and it's not as concrete. We're going to get to it in a second because they're not like, the worst tier sources. They're just sort of lower tiered sources. You know, they were kind of missing maybe like the Fabrizio, the Laurie Whitwell, you know, something like that. But I mean, they're decently placed sources. They're not nobodies. We know who they are. We've seen them report before, but it's it's a little bit weak right now. And I could see also, you know, people probably jumping on the Manchester United train a little bit. I mean, you know, the season just ended. The transfers is coming up. United making a splash already by announcing Cunha and stuff like that. And obviously we all know Manchester United's name gets a lot of views, gets a lot of clicks, gets a lot of attentions. And if something is hot around Manchester United, then a lot of things seem to follow. So there's been a lot of news that has come out today because of what happened yesterday. And we just got to see kind of how it goes. So Box is here as well. Ondero is here as well. Lions is here as well. Shout out to everybody. Good to see you all here on a Monday. Ondero says, hi, Eric and chat. The signing of Cunha is the benchmark of what is needed in the summer. We have got him going into his prime as well, especially if Bruno waves goodbye to us next week. Well, yeah, we got a small little update about Bruno. Nothing super significant. I guess we kind of just got to wait and see how that goes. But, yeah, I mean, listen, I'm here for the rebuild. Maybe I'm being a bit extreme, but I've come to the point in the conclusion that I want to rebuild as much as possible. So if that means tearing it all down to a certain extent, because I know obviously you can't do, you know, 15 sales probably in one summer. It's quite difficult. Even though I would tell them to aim for that and do as much as possible. But I would like to see them at least attempt it. I would like them to see at least really try and go down that path and push it as much as possible, because I think that's what we really need. And this is what I've been asking for years anyway. I mean, even before I started this channel, you know, I wanted the squad to be started over again, fresh, with a proper plan, with the proper, you know, execution in terms of buying players that fit an actual system, or style of play or philosophy of football, which is, I feel like we've never done it in 13 seasons. So we might have put together somehow maybe a decent squad in the past, but it was never something that really had any long-term backing to it. It always collapsed 2 to 3 years in, and that's because our planning was never proper. And, you know, the way we were doing things was never proper, ever. And I feel like in 13 years, whether you like Ineos or not, this is probably the best chance we got as of right now, over the past 13 years. So, you know, I would hope that they can do it, and we'll have to see. But there was some talk, obviously, about Andre Onana, because, you know, yesterday he wasn't involved in the squad at all. He was out, and Binder was in goal. And, many people, you know, Garnacho wasn't there either, but we got the updates about Garnacho, and, you know, Garnacho seems to be on his way out, and they've been saying that Garnacho is gone, essentially. And Onana wasn't there, and obviously there's been a lot of talk about Onana. A lot of people don't want him. A lot of people want him sold. You know, I'm there. I'm for that too. I think we need a better goalkeeper. I don't think the mistakes that he makes, I don't think a lot of them are fixable at his age. I don't think it's exactly what we need. He's been here for 2 years. It's about to be 3. I don't think we're going to see really anything different, in terms of solutions for him fixing the sort of mistakes that he makes. So if United can go and get another goalkeeper, I'm here for that. But, you know, Fabrizio came out after, and I think it was earlier in today, it said Andre Onana was left out of, this was from yesterday, Andre Onana was left out of today's squad against Villa because he could possibly leave Manchester United this summer. The club is exploring options for potential new goalkeepers, and Onana may be sold if a suitable offer comes in. Now, that's followed up by two other pieces of news. One is coming from Samuel Luckhurst, saying Andre Onana wants to stay at Manchester United. The club are still planning for next season with him, even though they want a new goalkeeper, which is interesting because it kind of flies a little bit in the face of what Fabrizio has told us, because Fabrizio said that the club are exploring options for potential new goalkeepers. His reads a little bit more like United are actually not really trying to plan with him for next season, but Samuel Luckhurst saying that United are planning for next season with him, even though they are, and confirming also that they are searching for a new goalkeeper. So quite interesting. I don't know what's going to happen here. My original opinion always was we'd probably keep Onana because I don't know if we would get a suitable offer for him, the one that the club would be willing to sell. I mean, if we do, then it could happen, but I felt like it's probably a little less likely. And I felt like probably the route that was going to happen was we keep Heaton as a third because we've given him a 1-year contract extension, and we would sell Bayender because I felt like Bayender wants to play. I don't think he's ever going to get the opportunity to be number one. I don't think Manchester United want to make him the number one because I don't think he has the certain qualities that we actually need. I mean, we got to play out of the back, and he's not really good with his feet, so he doesn't necessarily fit the bill. I think he's probably a better shot stopper than Onana, which is a plus, but it's not the complete package we need. The complete package we need is somebody that can play out of the back, can sweep, and is also a good shot stopper. I've always said if we can combine Onana and Bayende, maybe we would actually have the goalkeeper we want, but, we can't do Dragon Ball Z fusion with people in real life. So, but Bayende put out a lengthy message yesterday, and at the end, he said, see you next season. So, at least, I guess, from Bayende's standpoint, he doesn't want to leave, I guess. Which I kind of felt like he did because I felt like he was trying to push for number one, and it doesn't seem like he's really going to get that opportunity. So I don't know. Maybe the club just decide to sell him, and he accepts fate and then goes. But the other update also from Fabrizio once again saying there's a possibility that Andre Onana will leave Manchester United. United are interested in several goalkeepers such as Vanja Milinkovic-Savic. If you don't know Vanja Milinkovic-Savic, he was our goalkeeper at one point. He was in the reserves. We lost him because we had a problem with getting a work permit of some sort. We were unable to do it. Not from the club side. It was just, it was just one of those things that happens. Like, it wasn't incompetence. It was just something that wasn't able to materialize. We lost him. He went, somewhere else into a very, lower league, and he's ended up in the Serie A. I believe he plays for Torino, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know about this guy. I'm not really sold about that. I would like somebody a little bit, I feel like, more, maybe like a bigger name, or maybe, a little bit more high quality. I see a lot of people saying that he's similar to Onana in ways and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's really sold on me. Again, I don't watch Torino, so I can't tell you how he is as a goalkeeper. People could show me clips, but I don't like to use clips because you can make any player look like prime Ronaldinho or, Gianluigi Buffon in this case or whatever. So the goalkeeping position is interesting because we're definitely trying to do something there. It's just at what level are we going to be doing this? Is Onana going to go? Is he going to be out? And we're going to replace and get a new goalkeeper, starting goalkeeper for the next season, or is he going to stay and we're going to get a second? It's quite interesting. I don't really know anymore. I had sort of a decently strong opinion about it that I just explained, but considering what Bayende's message and considering this news surrounding Onana, where it seems like we're not against selling him, we don't know if we're going to get a good deal that we would allow to happen so that we could sell him. So it's quite strange, but it's interesting, and we'll see how it goes, for sure. Box says, I wonder who Samuel Luckhurst gets his information from. Well, I don't know, but, you know, I mean, listen, I don't necessarily like the guy. I think he's quite negative, but, I mean, you know, he's been doing this job for quite a long time. I'm sure he has some types of connections. I think sometimes he puts out some, you know, messed up stuff that I don't really necessarily agree with. But, I mean, he's been doing this for quite a while. I'm sure he has some sort of contacts. You know, it is quite interesting. I mean, he is, you know, sort of an old head in the game. So he's been doing this for a long time. So, you know, I don't know. You know, I wonder who all of these people get information from. Obviously, some of it sometimes comes directly from the club. Sometimes it comes from people inside the club. Listen, Manchester United is a big organization. I know we get frustrated with leaks and sort of stuff like that, but at some point, to a certain level, you're never going to be able to remove all leaks. It's too big of an organization. There's too many people involved. There's too many people that know other people, and it's sort of all connected, and you're always going to get something that comes out. Like, it's impossible for it to stop, even if you try your best. You know, there's certain things, obviously, like lineups and stuff like that, you don't want leaking out, and maybe you could do something about that. But in terms of news, it's, you know, it's gossip. People gossip. Things happen. You know, there could be somebody at a lower level that works at Manchester United that overhears something maybe they shouldn't, and maybe they have a mate or something that knows somebody. So, you know, it does happen. Temesgin Delicio, here we go, says, United, I want Gyokeres, Cunha. Well, we got Cunha. Mastantuono, Turkey, Emi Martinez, Simmons, Mbuemo to United is better for next season. I love when he upstates it. He always gives you a little curveball. He always throws something else in there. But we got Cunha. We do have a small update about Gyokeres as well. Doesn't look too good for you, Temesgin. I'm going to say that. And the rest of us, I guess. But nothing on Mastantuono so far. Turkey's gone a little bit quiet since the last update. Emi hasn't said anything in the past couple days since that other update. Simmons, nothing. And Mbuemo pretty much was the steal of the show today, pretty much. And we're going to get to him in, you know, just a second. But before we get to that part, just a little bit of more general sort of stuff around the plans for the transfer window and the, you know, the thinking, I guess, that's going behind this. So we got one update from Samuel Luckhurst again, saying Manchester United players under contract have been informed that none of them are absolutely assured of remaining at the club next season. And that's followed up by him also saying Manchester United would consider offers for any player this summer. Now, I would say, for me personally, at this point, the way I feel, especially after the final, I say that's perfect. Because this is what I've been saying, this is what I've been asking for, this is what I want, and this is what I think should happen. Now, on the flip side of that, him saying United would consider offers for any player this summer, I think that there are some players there that they just probably won't go. I think somebody like Lenny and somebody like Diallo and probably Diego Dalot, unless somebody is giving us a significant amount of money where it is extremely a plus, I don't think they're planning to do that. They're not planning that for those players. They're not looking to do that sort of stuff for these players. Some people might be concerned maybe this includes Maino. It could be. You know, it's gone particularly a little bit quiet around Maino in terms of, you know, even a transfer story or his contract updates, because we are in contract negotiations with him. But yeah, I think, just to be fair, I mean, after the seasons we've had, and, you know, some of these group of players being under two different managers as well, and the way they performed, I think that nobody should be particularly safe. I think there's some players there that there's probably a very low chance because they don't really want to sell them, and they're not going to look. But I mean, if somebody comes in and gives you 80 million for Diallo, maybe they'll think about it. But, you know, it would have to be something, I feel like, maybe to that certain degree. Like, you know, I don't think they're looking to move Diallo on. I think Ruben rates him very highly. I think lots of people rate him very highly. I don't think they're considering that at this moment in time in any way. But I guess this is kind of just a little bit of a brief from the club, pretty much saying, and they're inviting people to come and put in bids for all different types of players and see what they get. You know, because it might be maybe there's a player or two that aren't necessarily transfer listed. Sort of like maybe Garnacho has been transfer listed and they want people to come and make offers to see what they get and evaluate all options before making all decisions across the the transfer spectrum for Manchester United. But the reason why this kind of goes a little bit hand in hand, and this is what I was talking about, the silver lining at Manchester United, and I was talking about the silver lining in terms of, we lost the Europa League, we're not in the Champions League, and this might be the actual time we actually get an actual rebuild where we properly do what we've been saying we wanted to do. We said it prior to Rangnick. Rangnick pushed it very much. Some people might argue maybe we kind of did it under Ten Hag with the money we spent and the amount of players that were brought in under his reign. But clearly, it wasn't done right, especially in the first 2 seasons under his reign, because it was still Richard Arnold and co. And they were clearly incompetent and clearly bad at their job, and they clearly did a bad job at player recruitment. So, getting 2 out of the 3 years wrong in the past 3 years has done significant damage to our club. But the reason why I'm talking about this in this manner is because the update also goes into James Ducker in the Telegraph, very credible guy, respect very much. It says Manchester United aim to offload significantly more players this summer after not qualifying for any European competition, and that he followed up with Manchester United's current senior squad size, including loanees, is currently 31 players. They aim to reduce that to a number in the low to mid 20s with less fixture congestion next season. We talked about this. I said this was a possibility. I said how this can happen. Because if we're not in Europe, we need a smaller squad. We're playing less games, so we don't need a big squad. 31 players we have currently at the senior level. We're going to probably cut it down, I would say, to maybe 25, maybe 22, something like that. 25 is probably, probably the sweet spot around there. So not only is there the aspect of we should do it because these players aren't good enough and we need to rebuild the squad, but also now there's even more of a push because it's also the added factor that we're not in Europe, so we're playing far less matches, so we actually don't even need this squad as big as it is. So they're going to look to push players out. This could be a big benefit to us in actually clearing out the squad in a real way once and for all, because we've never done it. So yeah, I think it's all positives. I think it's all positives. I'm here for it and I'm excited by it. So Andero says, I would choose Biende as number 2 ahead of Onana. Biende really needed to play 6 to 8 games in a row to see what he's all about. The odd game here and there was really hardly a fair assessment. I mean, but for me, I get that, but for me, I don't think you need to see him play 6 to 8 games. You can tell off of 1 to 2 games, the guy can't kick the ball. I don't know how do we use a goalkeeper that can't use his feet and can't play with his feet out of the back when we play out of the back and we want to play out of the back and we want to build up out of the back. I just don't think he fits in any way. And it just seems like, I mean, it felt like he was going to go. I don't know what's going to happen now. But I always kind of said, I mean, worst comes to worst, if you can't sell Onana, or they choose to go with Onana, you create a situation kind of like Arteta did at Arsenal with Raya, where they had Ramsdale, and they bring in Raya, who obviously was a Premier League goalkeeper and was starting in the Premier League. And the second Ramsdale made a mistake, that was his career at Arsenal over. And you could do the same thing for Andre Onana. If you bring in somebody that can actually take his spot, somebody that can actually has all the qualities required to, and just, have them at second, but have them creeping over Onana's shoulder, putting more pressure on him. Because again, if you can't handle pressure, then you cannot be at this football club. You don't belong here. It's as simple as that. So, people might take that as a worry for Manchester United about, adding more pressure, but you need to be able to handle all the pressure if you're going to succeed at this football club. So, yeah, I would probably do something like that if we can't sell. Lucky's here as well. Says causing too many problems with players. Talk about manager, this, that. Napoli, Atletico Madrid will meet Alejandro Garnacho agents this week. Well, yep. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. Box is here as well. Shout out Box. Says I think most clubs have the same stance though. Lion says Mason reminds me of Jempa Jempa. Lucky says Lenny Oro we're not selling. No, probably not. But I mean, if what if Real Madrid come in and they're like, here's 100 million for Lenny? The fans probably wouldn't want it, but maybe the club would consider doing it. I mean, it's direct profit, and then maybe they would reinvest it. So I don't know. I think, again, many things are still up in the air at Manchester United, especially because of the fallout after the Europa League loss and not getting into the Champions League. So, it happens. Box says, but at United, we always have injury crises. So if we have the small squad, we'll be in the shit. Well, maybe, but, we're supposed to be changing these things in the background. We're supposed to be getting better at these things. So, and Amorim has brung in a fitness coach as well. So maybe those things turn into positives. I mean, so far, at the very least, it seems to be going well with Mason Mount. And he seems to be coming back. He's taken it upon himself a little bit as well to help himself out because he did some individual things that obviously the club approved. But that seems to be going decently well. Obviously, Luke Shaw getting re-injured. There isn't, much to do with that guy. I think it just keeps getting more hopeless as more time goes on. Maz has been one that's a little bit of a concern. We got to see how we can kind of handle him in that aspect. And Delit is another one. And obviously then Martinez is the big one because we've kind of botched that for him. And then he suffered another bad injury now for the season. So, I mean, we do suffer quite a number of injuries. So I wouldn't go too low. Like, he said a number in the low 20s. I wouldn't go too low. I think 25 is fine. I think if you go to like 22 or 21 or 20, I think it's getting a little bit low. Especially if you start to factor in injuries. Because, I mean, if you get 4 or 5 injuries, you're down to like a group of like, 16, 17 players, which is like not really enough. Even if we're just playing Premier League, FA Cup, and Carabao Cup. So we do have to make sure that whatever we downsize the squad to, it still makes sense in terms of, we got to cover all aspects. We got to make sure that we have enough, take injuries into account. We'll also have, there'll be youth players available and stuff like that. Worst comes to worst, maybe we'll have to call up 1 or 2 and include them in the squad. Could be a benefit as well. I mean, if we are a little bit short in the senior department, and we do end up having some sort of an injury crisis or something, and we do have to call up some younger guys from the under 21s or something, could be a positive as well in that aspect, because maybe they get some chances that they maybe would have not necessarily gotten at that moment, and maybe we get a couple surprises. I mean, it was something similar to Heaven. I don't know if Heaven was going to get the opportunity that he got at that moment, but we kind of got to a position where we needed to use him, and it turned out well for us. And something kind of similar was with Menu and a little bit with Garnacho, but a little bit different. These things happen sometimes. So, we won't sell Obi. No, I don't think we'll sell Obi. I think the young guys, we're not really looking to do too much like that at this current moment in time, especially the ones that are teetering on the the first team. I don't think we're gonna be looking to sell any of those guys. They might get loaned out, like Obi might get loaned out, and again, I'm not against that. I think that would probably be good for him, because I would look to try and replicate something similar to what we did with Diallo, because I think it worked very well for Diallo. So yeah. Rajat's here. What's up, Rajat? How you doing? Says does not rate Altai. Yeah, I just don't think. Listen, I think he's a good shot stopper, better than Onana for sure. But I just don't think he has the full qualities to be the goalkeeper that we need. We need everybody that was everybody. David De Gea was like that when he first came in. Watch back. It's all about confidence building. You absolutely run the games. Any goalkeeper will tell you this. I mean, fair, but also, you know, De Gea, I mean, we didn't play out of the back, and De Gea still wasn't good with his feet. So, like, it's not, I just, the circumstances are not the same. You know what I mean? It's a different type of thing. Like, I just don't think, I've, from the times I've seen Biende, he literally can't kick the ball with his feet. The guy has two left feet, and he has 2 left foot cleats on. Like, he can't kick the ball at all. You know, and it's actually, you know, he gave away that 1 goal in that 1 game that he played. I forgot which match it was. And before that, I said, I'm surprised it hasn't happened more, because he's kicked the ball in very bad areas, like very dangerous bad areas, very bad kicks directly to the opponents, leaving us exposed. So I don't think he can do it, because it's not what we call for. It's not what we need. Piers Morgan, fake account, says, man 53 arrested after his car hit pedestrians at Liverpool FC parade. Police say car hits pedestrian at Liverpool FC parade. BBC News. Yep, we covered that in the beginning. You know, just again, if you guys missed it, unfortunately, somebody has driven their car into the crowd at the Liverpool parade. People have been injured. I don't know if anybody has lost their life. I hope not, but we send our condolences and prayers to all the people involved. You know, obviously, as a football rivalry, when it comes to Liverpool, we hate football club, but we don't wish anybody to lose their lives or something like that to happen. So, yeah, just, you know, prayers up again to those people out there. Just absolutely disgusting, and you know, just sad. It's just sad. Rajat says, don't think Mbuemo will come. Well, we'll get to that in a second. Rajat says, why do Eric give Cunha deal, rate him out of 10? Well, I can't rate him necessarily yet, because I haven't seen him play in a Manchester United shirt, so I think it's probably too early to exactly rate him. But I would say, in my opinion, it's probably a 7. If we do 6 as average, I say 7. It's above average. I think he's a good player. Again, he's Premier League proven. I think he has all the qualities. He plays the position we need. He plays the system we play. He's strong. He has what seems like, you know, a strong mentality. He has a fiery character. I think we need that for our squad. I think it adds a bit of a different dynamic. I think we're lacking a lot of that across the pitch. So I think on paper it's a good deal. But obviously, you know, you'll go back and re-rate it once we see him play in the United kit and see what he gives us on the pitch, because that's what really matters at the end of the day. So Ray says, and Ray's here as well, shout out Ray, says, if we sell Manu, we're not serious for a rebuild. We're just there for money. Well, yeah, maybe. You know, I mean, I don't think they should. It doesn't really make sense in that aspect, because again, I think like Ray says, I mean, if you are going to rebuild, it doesn't really make sense why you would sell somebody like Kobbie Mainoo, when if Kobbie, because to me it doesn't make sense, because to me, if you're looking to rebuild and Kobbie Mainoo was at a different club and it wasn't like Liverpool or Chelsea or anything like that, if he was like maybe at a Brighton or like, you know, whatever, a Brentford or something, I think everybody would be like, and United would be like looking to try and get Kobbie Mainoo to bring him in for the rebuild. I mean, because he's young, he fits that profile. So it wouldn't make sense. And it would be probably more about money. And I don't really want to see those things happen in that certain sense. I mean, there's an aspect that has to be about money, but not there. Not in that spot specifically. You know, like, there's quite a difference between selling Kobbie Mainoo for 50-60 million, because it's pure profit, so you can argue that equals about 100 to 120 million for somebody that isn't pure profit. But he's 19 or 20 or 19, whatever, however old he is, and he has quite a high ceiling, and he already has good ability for his age, and he's already scored some important goals. He's a lad from the academy. And it's quite a significant difference to somebody like Bruno Fernandes, who's 31 years old, very good player for Manchester United, our best player that we probably have, but he's 31, and he's coming towards, he's increasing towards the end of his contract, towards the end of his career. He's only going to get older. It's a little bit different. It's not the same. For Maino would it make sense. Bruno for me would make more sense in terms of that you're going to get 100 million for a 31-year-old. It makes perfect sense. Maino could be 100 million, in the next 2 seasons if he grows the way that we think he can grow. And the way that we've kind of seen him grow in that first season. This season's been a little bit stagnated because, the injury that he had. And also, United had a very rough season. It was very hard. And I think, if the team as a whole is struggling, then these players themselves individually, players like Mainu or anybody else, they're going to struggle to kind of grow as an individual footballer as well. So, we got to sort out the team so that everybody can have a platform to flourish, including the manager, but also the players. Lion says, I'm delighted for Mount. It seems like he's made from the right stuff. Well, yeah, I mean, let's see. Fox was asking Ray where he would play Maino in the Amorim system. Well, I think, personally, I would probably try to fit him somewhere in the 10, but it seems like there's a lot of options in 10, so I don't know how much game time he's going to get. But I feel like Mainu's quality and abilities, I think he would do well there. I think one of the things is, though, he might have to buff up a little bit because I think that position you need to have a certain amount of strength, especially against certain opponents, and I could see in some matches, maybe him losing the physicality battle there, especially in that position. It's very important to be able to hold on to the ball and make sure you don't lose it because you're an important part of the link-up play and you're in the main position and you need to be able to retain possession. But he has excellent footwork and he has excellent ability to, move in tight spaces with pressure on him. So he already has that good bit. It's just maybe he needs to bulk a little bit more to make sure he has that physicality when we play a much more physical sides. Because I think he has decent physicality for the Premier League. Sometimes he is very strong, but there are some sides that are more physical than some other sides in the Prem, and he might not be able to handle that so well. But I think with his ability, I think he could be there. I like him better there than I do like him playing, deeper in the pivot. I feel like when he plays in the pivot, he can have an impact, but I feel like it's a bit wasted. Sometimes it's not. I feel like he's just more impactful when he's up further of the pitch around the box. I feel like he's a lot more impactful. He's a lot more noticeable. It makes a bigger difference. But I guess we got to see how it fits into the into the squad as well, because the reports are that we are looking to get 2 number 10s. So we got to see kind of how everybody's going to fit together if that does happen. What else? Right, Boxes doesn't look like he naturally fits in the system. Well, but I think again maybe I still kind of feel like Mainu is a bit of sort of still a blank canvas. I think some people prefer him to play in the pivot, and I think some people would prefer him to play higher up the pitch in the 10. But I don't think everybody is at a collective agreement. And so it might seem like he doesn't naturally fit the system, but he's young enough that you can make him fit the system because he still seems like you can kind of make him into what position you want him to. I think he's naturally gifted to play in any of those at a certain level, but it's like nobody's like that is his position 110%. And I think that's just because we haven't really decided what to actually do with him in terms of we want him to play this position and this is what he's going to be. So I feel like we got to make that determination and then move forward working on it and let him just play it out and learn and grow and build in that aspect. So Ray says we sold Scott McTominay last year and he became champions with Napoli, and we told him because he was the only player that he could brought some money into the club. Well, yeah, but yeah, I mean, but you know, uh, I mean, he went to Napoli, went to the Serie A. Again, I always said that he fits quite well there. I think, it was good for him that he went there, and becoming champions, just happens to be that way. He still had to play in a team. The team still had to be good, and the team had to perform. So he obviously had a big role, and he was player of the season in the Serie A. So he obviously had a good season, but um, yeah, I don't think he necessarily fit into United. I think the mistake that was made was we took the profile of McTominay, and instead of getting somebody like McTominay and upgrading from McTominay, we went for a completely different profile of player, and that just changed the entire thing. So, yeah, it happens. Our club became money, money, money. I mean, because we need it. At the end of the day, you need money. You might not like it, but if you don't have money, you can't succeed. So we need money. We need money, and we're struggling for money. So you need to start doing things for money, unfortunately. And this is where we are. Ondero says, that is an exaggeration, I'm afraid. He is not as bad as that. Don't get me wrong. He is not first choice keeper, but I'm certain he is better than Onana. Martinez and Mbuemo hopefully next. Well, we will see. I don't know about Martinez. There's just some news that, some other clubs are looking at him. So, again, we always have to be careful and remember United's name gets used a lot. I mean, Jonathan Tah literally just signed for Bayern Munich. Remember, we were linked to him about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, and they used our name. And we said, well, I think he would be a very good signing, and he fits this. He fits it, but it just seemed like there was always the possibility his agent was using our name to get the deal that they want. And clearly, the deal that they wanted was to go to Bayern because, United's name evaporated quite quickly, and now he's a Bayern Munich player. So we got to see. Ray says we make preseason tours for money, not to prepare the team for the season. Well, I mean, yeah, well that's partly because of the Glazers. I mean, they're trying to exploit the market there. They do these things. But at the same time, I mean, you kind of got to try and do both. Best case scenario, at the end of the day, football is a business as well, and you got to do the utmost. I think it's a little bit ridiculous in the path that we've gone, in terms of the fact that we're in Malaysia right now, and we just left after playing the last game of the final, and we went to go play 2 matches for 8 million. I think it's ridiculous, and I think, it's one aspect. I get it. You got to go and get money for the club. It helps the club at the end of the day, even though the Glazers are there, and people will say it helps the Glazers. I mean, but there's nothing you can do. But from the football club's standpoint, all football clubs do this. I would just like it to be not so. It's a little bit too money focused and not enough squad focused. Again, I think the preseason last year was a disaster. In terms of that, it was too much. Like, it was like, go play a match here, and then like 2 days later you're flying like halfway across the United States to go play another match for preseason. And it's like, well, how are they getting training in? They have to travel, they have to get on a plane. They just played a match 2 days ago. They got to play another match, and then after that they're flying somewhere again across the country 2 days later. And I'm just, I looked at it and I was like, the schedule is just quite messy. It's quite weird. Like, it wasn't properly structured. It just seemed like, just throw the team around the United States so we could get as much money as possible in the shortest amount of time. And I was like, but what about the preparations for the squad? How are they doing training properly if they have to travel every day and a half and then play a match every day and a half? It doesn't quite make sense. So they do need to tone it down a bit. I mean, they're not going to not do preseason tours, but they need to tone it down a bit where it makes a little bit more sense for the football side, for sure. Box says, I'd keep Manu, but he doesn't fit in Amorim's system. Well, I think he can play the 10. I think he can play the 10. I think he just needs a little bit more development. Ray says, we shit in modern football, my friend. Yep. And that's why we have to get better. You know, you're not gonna win. The old way of playing football doesn't beat the modern football. That's why nobody plays the old way anymore and has success. You have to become good at the modern football, so we have to come into the times. So there's nobody in the world that plays like the Madrids and bosses and everybody. Nobody is playing old school football, and nobody is succeeding with that. They're playing a modern version of football. So we suck at it. We need to get better at it. That's the only way forward. We're not gonna go to a 4-4-2 and play Ferguson counterattack and succeed. It's not gonna happen because we're gonna get exposed. That's why people don't really play it. 4-4-2 has become quite a defensive formation, and it's used by smaller teams that don't win Premier Leagues and they don't win Champions Leagues and they don't compete at the highest level. And that's just the way it is. Just the way it is. Boxes, I see Manu long-term in centre mid. Well, maybe. I mean, again, I think you can pick where you want him to go at this point. I still think he's a bit of a blank canvas. He's naturally all-around gifted. And I think, I think you can pick where you want him to go. I just think that the club and Amorim and everybody else involved, they actually need to just make the decision of we want him to play here, and then that's it, and go from there. I think it'll be all right. Ondero says Amorim said good times are coming. I remember the class of 1992 very well, and to me, the signs are evident that we have a pool of youngsters that could replicate this in the next 3 to 5 years. We do have a good pool of youngsters coming up, and we're doing even more work in terms of youngsters and the recruitment. It's Jason Wilcox's specialty, actually. So we do have a good number of exciting players coming in or that are already there, making good progress. So, those things take a little bit of time, but they could help, especially next season and the seasons following that. So we got to see. We got to see, how that goes. But it's encouraging that at least we're, making some progress in that department, because for quite a bit of time, it stagnated very heavily and we weren't doing so great. So, yeah, but I mean, let's see how it goes. Lion says Amorim came good on his promise. The shitstorm happened and things got worse. So when he says the good times are coming, I'm inclined to believe him this time as well. Well, I mean, I would just say, for him to come good in his promise, the good days have to come. So I'll reserve that part. But I get what you mean, because, he did warn us, and he did say that was going to happen, and because he knew. He didn't need much time. He saw the players in training, he saw them play a couple matches, and he knew what was going to happen. Still, I don't think when he said that, I don't think he meant that, we were going to finish 15th. I think he probably imagined that, we'd probably finish mid-table or something, or a little bit above it. I don't think he necessarily expected it to get as bad as it did. But I watched the video yesterday, because I didn't watch it. I read what he said to you guys, and I didn't watch it when we were live. So I watched it after we got off. Strong statement by him. I thought it was quite clever to include that. But strong statement, to say that in front of entire Old Trafford, and then of course the world. And he's got a big job on his hand, and he knows it better than anybody. The one thing that I give him credit for is, lots of fans get accused of whatever, making excuses from him, which I don't even necessarily have a problem with, because fans are allowed to do that sort of thing. But for him himself as a manager, he has hid from absolutely nothing. He's taken everything on head on, and he's put a lot of blame on himself. And I think actually you could probably say he's probably put a lot more blame on himself than some people probably would put on him, because he doesn't even go to the extent of really going at the players, which I think, again, like, he hasn't really come out and said these players are shit or anything like that. There was one time he said we are the worst squad, but that's just more of a statement of fact, because of the way we performed and what we did on the pitch. But for the most of it, he's accepted all the blame, which is what you want to see. from the manager and respect, and I get that, and I think that's what he needs to do anyway. But he hasn't been hiding from anything, and he understands the situation. He understands that if we go into next season and we have 2 wins in the first 10 matches, he's going to lose his job. He knows that. So uh, it's quite refreshing to just hear him kind of just call it out and say it, because it just reassures you that he does understand the circumstances. He does understand the situation. He's not a dummy about that sort of stuff, and he's not trying to make any sort of excuses in, trying to beg for more time, really. He understands that you need results. He does let you know that some things will obviously take time, but at the same time, he understands the concept of, I got to do the best job to give myself more time, and for me to do that, we got to get the results. And if I get results, I'll get more time, and the more time I get, you'll see exactly what I've been working on with this team. So, where realistically could we finish next season, provided we get 5 new signings minimum? I would say probably 8th to 5th. I mean, it depends who we sign. Again, I mean, from this standpoint, it's a bit hard. I mean, even if you think of, because it depends on who the signings are. Because if you tell me we get Cunha, Gyokeres, and 3 other players that are like these top quality players, well, then the outlook is much higher. But if you tell me we can't get Gyokeres, we can't get Osimhen, we can't get Delap, we end up with like Jonathan David or some shit, and we don't get Mbuemo, we get somebody else. It depends who we get, I think, to really make that determination. I think, obviously, it's been reported the goal, so to speak, supposedly, is that Sir Jim said that he wants United and Amorim to have a top 6 finish, and that's what he's going to be judged on. So, I mean, we do have to be aiming for around somewhere there, because actually, not just by standard levels, but also financially and perspective wise, Manchester United do need to get back into Europe. Manchester United do not need to do 2 seasons out of Europe. That could be quite damaging. So we do have to aim to be somewhere around the top 6 and somehow try to get into Europe, whether that's through the league or we get back into Europe by winning the FA Cup or something like that. We got to do that. You don't rate Jonathan David. I mean, not at that level. I think he's an all right player. I don't know. I mean, but when I'm looking at but when I'm looking right now, it's like, well, our main 3 list was Gyokeres, Osimhen, and Delap. If we can't get one of the 3 from the top 3, we're now going to plan 4, 5, and 6, which is like options we weren't even necessarily considering, which isn't necessarily good for the project, because we didn't get any of our top 3 targets. We're now going to option D, E, and F or something like that. So, and I don't necessarily, if I had the option, I would probably rank him 4th, to be quite honest. I'd probably take Delap over him as well. So, because I don't know how he would do in the Prem. Is my thing. I don't know how he would necessarily do in the Prem. So, I think Gyokeres and Osimhen, you don't have to worry about them at all in that aspect. I think they're 2 top class strikers. I think they'll do good in any league. You get them in any team. Delap is one, obviously plays Prem. He has quite a good shot on him, and he's got some quite good ability as well. But he would be like 3rd on my list. So I think Delap and David could be the solution. Well, I mean, if we get Delap and David, that's a different story. If it's just David, then I don't know how to necessarily feel about that. If it's Delap and David, it adds a different sort of dynamic, because you have 2 different players, 2 different strikers. And if David doesn't work out, at least we have Delap. Or if Delap doesn't work out, maybe then at least we have David. But Yeah, I don't know if the top names are unattainable. Well, we're gonna get to that. So, um, but we have did I label this right? Yes, we have updates about Garnacho. So let's get into Garnacho a little bit. So apparently Napoli's sporting director Giovanni Mana is set to meet with Manchester United over a possible deal for Alejandro Garnacho. That's coming from the Paper Sport, and also Fabrizio saying yesterday Manchester United and Garnacho feel as though it's best time to part ways. The agent of Garnacho will now search for another club for the player. So I mean, I think I think he's gone. I think anybody holding out hope that he stays, I think there's probably 0% chance at this point. I mean, 0%'s quite it's quite thorough. Maybe a 1% chance, because I guess never say never, right? But it's very low. I think he's done. He's gone. It's a bit sad, but because there was high hopes for this kid, and some people don't even want this because they argue against it because they really like his talent and they think they're going to be a fantastic player. And again, I'm not in that camp. I'm not somebody that says Garnacho is shit and that he's a crap player and he'll never be better than Adama Traore or something like that. Like, I think he is a good player. He has quite high potential. I think if he goes to another football club, there's a very good chance that he could go on to become a very good player and be successful for them. I'm aware of that. But like I said the other day, you can have talent or potential, but at this moment in time, for the football team, for the club in general, if you don't have the correct mentality or attitude, you're just as bad as somebody that doesn't have the talent. You can't be part of our team. So there's clearly issues have been there. I also don't really like the way he sort of handled certain things. He is quite an emotional sort of player compared to some other players. And I don't know. I guess I'm just trusting Amorim on this one. Because I think, again, I think it's not necessarily his skill or talent. I think it's the way he has conducted himself. Also, he's still fairly a selfish player, and we also don't really need that. Amorim doesn't call for that in his teams. He needs team players. We actually need team players. I always agree with that sentiment. You need team players, and he doesn't seem to really be one. So I'm gonna go with Amorim's judgment on this. I guess, and also because I mean I can bitch and moan and cry about this happening, but really there's nothing I can do about it. But yeah, I mean it's quite a bit sad because there was high hopes for the kid that he was going to be sort of this star for Manchester United, and it's gone quite the opposite way. So I mean, we'll see where he ends up going. I think if he goes to Napoli, he'll probably rip it up, to be quite honest. I think he's got the pace to destroy the Serie A's pace. They use wingers quite well there. I think he would fit well there in the Serie A. So yeah, there's people out there that really think that they literally say that he's shit. I'm not that person. I don't think he is shit. I just think that for a different reason, it probably isn't working out at the football club. So, Lion says, do we think that we need to sell Hoyland to be able to get 2 strikers? Yes. Yes, I think so. Considering the fact that they seem bent on going for 2 number 10s, and clearly because the reason why we're getting 2 10s, at least from my opinion, from what we've been reading and what we've been told, is because one, we need a 110 in general, so that's Cunha, right? We needed one in general because we needed to step up. We needed somebody better. We needed somebody that plays that position better and is stronger. We needed an upgrade regardless. But also, considering that Garnacho was one that we are using as a 10, even though he's not really a 10, but he's been playing there and he's done pretty good for somebody that is not a 10, and he still contributed with goals and a couple assists. And, you know, he's had a season with 21 GA in a season where Manchester United finished 15th and no trophies. So I think with the sale of Garnacho, right? The sale of Rashford, the sale of Anthony, which, by the way, we sent both of those two players on loan and we never actually got replacements for them, but they were part of the squad. So, and Sancho as well. I think they need to get another 10, especially if you're going to get rid of Garnacho, because he's the one that's playing there. And we already don't have Rashford and Anthony, who were part of the squad, that aren't there anymore. So we are missing sort of certain, like, in a positional sense. So I think with Garnacho going, is probably why they've made the determination, we'll just go get another 10, because he's not necessarily a 10, but also he has, you know, X problems that we don't really like too much. So I think that's why we're going for 2 10s. We obviously need still the striker, and at the time it seems like we are going for just the one as of right now. It doesn't seem to be you know, 2. It seems to be whichever one we could get, but 1 for sure. To get 2, I've always said, I think they could get 2. But if you want to get 2, that means you got to sell Rasmus to get the second one. Unless you get Jonathan David, because Jonathan David is a free. So, you know, unless they do something like that, where they get somebody on a free, because it's a free. But if you want to spend money on 2 strikers without significantly messing up the plan for the rest of the team in terms of what you're going to buy and acquire, then you would have to get rid of Rasmus. Because it's either you buy Delap and Rasmus stays as a backup, or if you say Rasmus isn't good enough and you want to move on from that, I still think that we need 2 strikers. So if you're not keeping Rasmus and you sell him, then I would say, well, then you probably have to go get another striker. So can we not have 3 plus Obi? I mean, we can, but I mean, but just, you know, Obi wouldn't really play though, so I would just loan him out. Loan him out. Delap and David should be 30 million in total. Well, yeah, I mean, because David is free, so you could do something like that for sure. You could. Agreed. Eric says box. I would have persisted with Garnacho, but if he goes, he goes. Yeah, I mean, that's how I kind of feel with pretty much most of the squad. I mean, still, I would still keep a good handful of players, I think, for obvious reasons. Again, I think if we were to make a list, I think, and you took 1,000 United fans, there's probably 3, 4, 5 names that probably everybody would have on their list that they would keep, and then the rest would kind of be, you know, personal preference. But I think there's 4 or 5 players in there for sure, at the very least, that probably every person would have it written down on their list. So Lion says if he goes to Italy, I can see him winning the Ballon d'Or. Well, I mean, I don't know about Ballon d'Or, but I think he would be performing exceptionally high. I think it's a league. I mean, they use wingers quite well. It's not as fast as the Prem. He has good speed and he has good dribbling. And I could see him doing wonders. I mean, Curtis Chavala was there, and I kind of see it's something similar to that. Curtis Chavala was very good there, and obviously he's got his move to PSG now, but I could see, you know, Garnacho doing well there because of the likes of people like Curtis Chavala and stuff like that. I'd get 3 10s. You'd get 3 10s. Cunha, Mbuemo, and a Turkey. Well, yeah. I mean, I would like that. That would be good. I don't know if you would get 3 10s. You know, if you get Cunha, well, we have Cunha. So if you get Mbuemo too, I don't know if we would end up getting Turkey. I feel like maybe it would be between Mbuemo and Turkey. But yeah. Any Scunthroat FC players to buy? No. We just send players there. We just send them there. We don't buy any players from them. We send the players that we don't want. We send them to them, and they could play out the rest of their career there. They're like our garbage disposal, pretty much. We just you know, you ain't good enough. That's where you end up. We send you to them. Lookman looks like a world beater in Italy. That's why I said that. I mean, he is quite good. there, and obviously he didn't do. You know, he wasn't pulling up trees in the Prem when he was at Everton and stuff like that. But he, you know, I watched like 2 or 3 Serie A games where he was playing, and he looked quite very good. Um, so yeah, no, I think listen again. It's quite easy to tell. I mean, the Serie A it's obviously, this is why we talk about these things. The Serie A is not the Prem. It's not as fast. It's not as physical. It's still physical, but it's not as physical. Um, and it's easier. I mean, it's the reason why players like Mkhitaryan is still playing in the Inter Milan team that's in the Champions League final. At 38 years of age, and he's starting and he's playing. You know, it's the reason why maybe somebody like Darmian, who couldn't really cut it in the Prem, but it does quite well for the Italian team and the way Italian teams play and the characteristics that they have in their squad. So, uh, Crazy here says Southgate, Southgate, Southgate. Where is Southgate? You know, what is he doing? What's he been up to? Is he just like, is he just working on some coats and stuff? You know, I mean, nobody's talked about Southgate. Nobody's seen Southgate. Nobody knows where he is. Nobody knows what he's been up to. You know, I wonder what he's doing on a day-to-day basis nowadays. Foxes, I remember Lookman on loan at Fulham, and he tried to Panenka a pen in the last minute, but missed. It sounds like Balotelli type settings. Uh, sounds like Balotelli type settings there. Temesgin Delicio says United want Gyokeres, Chirk, Mbuemo, Simmons, Mane to United is better for next season. We got 2 in 1 show. 2 in 1 show from Temesgin. He's giving us a double update. Rare occurrence. Lions says Serie A in the 90s is still my favorite football ever. Well, I got to take your word for it, because I mean, I was born in 94, so you know, I kind of missed that whole 90s era, so I can't really tell you. But Omkar Pukian, if I pronounce your name wrong, I'm sorry. I try my best. I'll just call you Omkar. Says, what are your realistic summer signings? My realistic summer signings at this current moment in time, well, at least for the very least, I mean, we got Cunha ready. I think we probably could do a deal like Mbuemo. I like Mbuemo. I think he's a good player. I actually think he has the characteristics for what we need. Apparently he's around 50 million, something like that. Premier League proven, again, has done very well in a Brentford side. That, you know, Brentford aren't a bad team. They play some good football. But I mean, he scored some 20-something goals. Just in the Prem, I believe, playing at Brentford. So, you know, I think he would be a good fit in terms of, like, he has physicality, he has speed. He's a player that can shoot, obviously, because he scored 20 goals, but he's also a player that is not selfish. He looks to pass the ball. He looks to get assists. He makes some very good passes. He has good vision. So, striker for me is probably the biggest dilemma, and we're going to get on to that as well, because it seemed like we had some options, but now it seems like we have a big issue there, because the news that's coming in surrounding the striker position, it is an issue. It is certainly an issue. So I don't know exactly what we're going to do. Maybe we get a little bit lucky, but it's not looking too good for us there. We definitely need a midfielder. I don't know who we're going to get necessarily in the midfielder. Maybe you could get somebody like Baleba or something like that. You know, obviously probably Wharton would be the most ideal, but I don't think we can afford him with our current situation. So, you know, I just kind of go along with the flow as of right now. You know, they give me the names, I make the determinations on it. But yeah, I mean, for what we got so far in terms of just Cunha and maybe Mbuemo, I take both. I think they're both very good. I think that's good targets identified. I think they have the characteristics for what we're looking for and what we need. And then we got to see where that goes from there. Ray says we don't need another 10. Well, you say that, but they say otherwise. They want 2 10s apparently. So Maybe we do, or maybe we don't. Box wants 3, so. Grace says if Mbuemo joins, say goodbye to Manu. Why? They don't play the same position. Why would Mbuemo coming mean that Manu leaves? They don't necessarily play the same position. Manu could play Manu could play deeper. I think Manu could play up top, but they might not choose to do that. They might just play Manu deeper. I don't think they correlate, to be honest, Grace. I don't think Mbuemo coming means that Manu leaves. I don't think that's the case. So I don't know though. I mean, we'll see how things go because we gotta transpire. Yes, Grace. We know you love Delo. Here you go. I'll give you some emojis. Delo emojis, only exclusive to members. If you want the Delo emojis, if you want the Newton Heath emojis, Red Devil Newton Heath emojis, if you want the Trust the Water emojis, and if you want the Glory Man United badges, exclusive to club members only, VIP Red Devil experience, members only. So, here we go. Abdul saying, but is it true that Manchester United and Spurs are going to have a replay for Europa League? No, I don't. Where'd you hear that? Why would you do that? Manu is a 10, especially if Bruno plays 8. I mean, well, again, I think we could say that we feel like Manu is a 10, but I don't know if they've made their determination. And if Mbuemo comes, I still don't think that necessarily means that Manu goes. So, you could just get Mbuemo and keep Manu as well. I don't know if that necessarily means that because we get Mbuemo, that means because that means because to me, it's already stated that we're looking for 2 number 10s. So if we're looking for 2 number 10s and Mbuemo comes and Manu's going, then we should be getting news that Manchester United are looking to move Manu on. But there hasn't been anything recently other than the fact that we're still in contract negotiations with him. I also find it weird. If we're looking to sell Manu, why are we in contract negotiations with him? You know, maybe it's a play to kind of get somebody to put in a big bid and stop the contract negotiations. But also at the same time, I think it probably deters a lot of clubs because they're like, why are we going to waste our time when he's negotiating a contract extension in Manchester United? So, Ray says we need to make Old Trafford a fortress again. No one is afraid to come to Old Trafford. Yep. And we got to do that by we have to start at home 100%. But we got to do that by building a better squad. Nobody's going to be afraid of a shit squad. Nobody's going to be afraid of players that suck. And a team that can't play football. So we got to really start there first. Then we got to move to the making sure Old Trafford's a fortress and making it unbeatable and having a siege mentality. But we need a little bit of help in that department because we need some stronger characters in there to kind of make that happen as well. So I like the home fans to make Old Trafford more hostile and uncomfortable for opposing players' fans. Yeah, I think, Box, I think it's kind of hard to do that at the current moment in time. I think you are right. Sometimes I feel like maybe we're a little bit... Sometimes there's matches and we're too quiet. We're too quiet. We're a little bit soft, I would say, in a certain sense. But also at the same time, I would say, well, it's kind of hard to be, more hostile and stuff when your team sucks and we perform like crap. So, it kind of goes hand in hand with each other. So we got to see. Grace says we won't get a midfielder then, not with Manu, Bruno, Collier, Ugarte, Casemiro. Well, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, you might be right. I mean, the midfielder one has been mentioned before, but it's one that's kind of taken a back seat, and there isn't really any talk as of right now. So, I mean, for me, I just gonna take it step by step. I mean, right now we got Cunha. There's still focus on the other 10 apparently, because that's what we're being told about 2 10s, and obviously there's the strikers. So I think once we figure out maybe the striker, or the other 10, then maybe we can get some news surrounding, in other positions. And also, I think probably we need to see what happens with the sales as well, because obviously the sales are going to play a big part in how much we're going to be able to do and what we can do. So next season, we could see Manu adapting to the 10 with more time in the training pitch. Yeah, I think you can. Again, I think for Manu, he's still kind of at a spot where you can try and make him to play in the pivot, or you can try and make him play in the 10. I don't think it's like too far, too gone, and I don't think we've actually made a concrete decision over that yet. But when he came on the other day, I thought he did quite well playing up there. He was quite noticeable. He definitely had a bigger impact than Mason Mount did, and played less minutes. So, yeah, I mean, I think he can do it. So, Fox says he would get Casemiro to leave. I mean, I probably would too. I just don't know if we can actually do that. You know what I mean? If they gave me the option of like, you can do whatever you want and it'll happen, I'd move to do that. But I don't know if that's something that can actually materialize considering the current situation, in the fact that he's on 300,000 a week or whatever it is. He's 32, 33 years old, whatever. And the only way that he's going to be able to go is probably if Saudi come for him. And even if Saudi come for him, he still has to accept to leave, which he seems very reluctant to do. And I don't know the feeling of Amorim, because I think at one point Amorim didn't want him and didn't want to use him, but I think Amorim respects him for his character and the way he's handled himself. After essentially being, pretty much frozen out and not being used, and the way he, handled that situation, I think Amorim respects him for that. And he takes those sort of things into account and he weighs them very heavily. So I don't know if Amorim necessarily might want to get rid of him. He might consider him a good character to keep around at the football club, at least for one more year, because obviously he has, one more year left on his contract, and then he'll go for free. Which probably seems like, it happens. Abdul says, which goalkeeper United is going to sign? I mean, I don't know what goalkeeper we're going to get. We just talked about that before. The goalkeeping situation seems a little bit funky right now. Like, we're clearly trying to look at something for a goalkeeper. It's not quite clear if we're trying to get a number 1 or a number 2, and it's not quite clear if Binder or Onana are going to go. Obviously one of them has to go, but Bienda's message has thrown me sideways, because I felt like he wanted to leave, but him saying see you next season makes me think that he doesn't want to leave. And then I guess it's up to the club, because I mean, Onana wants to stay. He doesn't necessarily want to go. I don't think the club have necessarily told him we're kicking you out, but I think they'll probably be trying to get somebody to put a bid in, and if they accept it, then maybe Onana is willing to leave. Although there was a story about Besiktas being interested in Bayende, so maybe if somebody puts a bid in for one of these guys and United accept it, maybe they just accept their fate and pack up their stuff and go, and then it opens up a spot. So I don't know what we're doing with goalkeeper as of right now, but we'll see. Casemiro won't leave. He will see his contract out. Well, that's what I feel like is probably the most likely thing to happen, Grace. But we'll see. But I mean, it seems to be leaning that way, definitely, very heavily. He'll get a sign-on bonus at the next club. Yeah, probably seems that way. It's hard to move on. It's hard to move on Casemiro, because again, we could want to sell him. I think Ruben isn't. I think Ruben isn't necessarily, like, if Casemiro stays, I don't think Ruben's like totally against using him, since he's been using him and he kind of likes him now. I don't think Ruben's like totally against selling him because I think Ruben said that he needs more athleticism, and clearly, Cass still has good qualities, but he doesn't have the athleticism in terms of legs and speed. Um, so they can decide to sell him, but we're not, because of what happened in the past, we're not really in a great position. Because I mean, listen, if he was on 150,000 a week, maybe you could get away with threatening him that he won't play. But also at the same time, he's at the end of his career. He might not really care that much because maybe he just really doesn't want to move and relocate his whole family when he doesn't really need to. And also, he's getting paid about 300,000 a week, so you can't. It's hard to threaten a player like, hey, we're not gonna play you when he's getting paid about 300,000 a week. It's not. We're not really. Casemiro pretty much holds all the cards in this situation, which is not good for the football club. But this is what happens when you make stupid deals. And this is from the past, obviously, in the previous regime, and it's carrying over into the current regime and under the current manager. And it's an issue because how do you get rid of him if he doesn't want to go? He has to accept to leave. He has to accept to leave. We're not going to rip up his contract. It makes no sense. We'll just be losing money, and we're not going to do that. So, Fox says I'd buy Stiller and Jashari for centre mid. We've only had tentative links with them, which was a while ago. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with centre mid. I mean, they reported that we were looking for a centre mid, but it's gotten a little bit quiet over the past couple weeks. There's been a lot of focus on, obviously, the striker and the 10s right now. So I think we got to just wait a little bit till we at least get one more signing, which I think they're looking at the striker as of right now. So more mainly than the other number 10. I think the other number 10 is probably something that they're considering and thinking about and they want to do. But I think the striker position is one that is probably coming next. It'll probably be our second signing. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. So Grace says 2 up front next season with Cunha, Mbuemo, new striker, and Xerxes. Well, I mean, maybe. Because like there was times that he obviously plays 3-4-2-1, but there was times in his career that he has used sort of a 3-4-3 in a certain aspect as well. So he could do something like that. I don't know if he would necessarily do that, but Abdul says, is Mason Greenwood coming back to United? No. He is absolutely never coming back to Manchester United. He's never coming back to Manchester United. That ship has sailed long time ago. And Lion says, right or wrong, Greenwood will never play for England or for England again. Yep, and that's another one. He'll never play for England, and he'll never be back at Manchester United. He might go to an English club if somebody wants to do that. There was a little bit of murmurs around that there is an English club or two interested. It's not Manchester United, and that ship has sailed. It's never happening. So, apparently he's applied for a Jamaican passport. Well, I mean, listen, somebody will take him. You know what I mean? Like, French club took him. They had no problems with it. It is what it is. He's there and he's playing. And, if England don't take him, if he has another nationality he could play for, they'll probably take him. Right or wrong. But that's just how it is. Just how it is. But since we're talking about strikers, let's get to this update. So Liam Delap. This came yesterday. Late yesterday. So Jay Percy from the Telegraph, being credible, says Liam Delap is expected to join Manchester United this summer. He followed it up by, this is Ben Jacobs. He had another update in there. But Ben Jacobs said Liam Delap is expected to decide his future this week before heading off to the under-21 Euros. He still remains Manchester United's top choice. Then we got this update saying talks are in progress for Liam Delap to Manchester United from Ipswich for £30 million. United have offered a contract until 2030 with the option for another year. So same thing as Cunha, 5-year plus 1. I think we're going to do this in all our deals, which I have no problem with because you just get an extra year out of it. and it's up to the club to decide if they want to execute it or not. So, um, 6 years pretty much if you want to activate it, 5 years if you don't. So, but the last update that goes around this is that apparently, and this is where the problem is coming in now, and this has been sort of the story. It's been lurking around. Apparently, Chelsea have now overtaken Manchester United in the race for Liam Delap as they can offer him Champions League football. And this is the problem that we may face, some of the problems that we're going to face because we didn't get into Europa League. So we might have a silver lining somewhere, but problems are also going to arise out of that. And solely for the fact of even somebody like him, who played for Ipswich, who played 1 year in the Prem, even him, he prefers and was demanding Champions League football. We can't give that to him. Chelsea can, because they're there. And if they go for him, and he values the Champions League football more than anything else, then we're probably going to miss out and lose him. So, at the current moment in time, it's looking quite bleak in the striker position. I don't know what the plan is if we can't get Gyokeres, Osimhen, or Delap. Like, I don't know where we go from there. I don't know what they have planned to do. Because this was the update that we got about Gyokeres, and this came from Ben Jacobs, saying Manchester United's interest is genuine in Victor Gyokeres, but their top target is Liam Delap. And it says it's also understood Gyokeres wants Champions League football. And there was another update from a different source that said Gyokeres to United is essentially off of the table because he's not considering United anymore because we're not in the Champions League and it's not something that he wants. So it's looking very, very bleak in the striker position because if these things are accurate, you can fairly say Gyokeres is off the table. We've missed out on him. We're not getting him. There's a chance Delap goes to Chelsea. And I just feel like, in general, Victor Osimhen is not going to come to us. I think it was a bit of a stretch for him to come to us if we were in the Champions League. I think now that we're not in the Champions League, Victor Osimhen is one that strikes me as somebody that will just straight up tell United to F off without Champions League. It seems like he might go to Saudi for the money. Because there's strong links there as well. So I feel like, if United were in Champions League, maybe we could have enticed Osimhen to come because we could have given him that. But he is asking for quite a good amount of money, and maybe he's a little bit of money driven because he's sort of at the end of his career. So maybe he's trying to secure that bag. The best way to secure the bag is to go to Saudi. He might not give a shit anymore. So it's looking a bit bleak at striker. I don't know what we're going to do, really. So, it's not the best situation because, we had our 3 targets and our 3 targets look like we can't get them. So it's an issue. It is definitely an issue. Jonathan David is linked to Napoli as well, so that could be all 4 targets gone. Well, yeah, I mean, he is a free agent, and we're not the only club in for him, and this is kind of the problem that we might have to run into. But this is also why, again, you have to have people that are good at recruitment, because there are options out there that might not necessarily be your first, second, or third options or whatever. But if you're good at recruitment, you will be able to find some sort of a solution. And not kind of do what United did, where they do a panic buy or they shit themselves because they have no plan and there's no backup plan, and then they go make some signing random, some random signing, like we did with like Agalo on loan or fucking Weghorst, something stupid like that. We're clearly looking for a certain profile and certain level of striker. So if you lose these targets, you got to be able to still and go find somebody out there that you could do a deal for. It might not be to the level that you wanted it to, but it's got to be something that ticks at least some of the boxes. If you can't tick all of them, they have to tick some of the boxes because at the end of the day, it's better than nothing, or it's better than just getting something that is totally different than what you were looking for, because then it just doesn't make sense to the plan or the project. So, recruitment and Ruben need to sell our club. Do you want to just be a player, or do you want to become a legend? Yeah, I mean, they could try, but also at the same time, our status doesn't really help Lions. You know what I mean? Doesn't really help. They'd be like, do I want to be just a player, or do I want to become a legend? If I'm somebody that's not too sold on Manchester United, I'd be like, do I want to become, do I want to become a pariah? Do I want to become shit or something? Do you guys see your track record? Why should I join you? When I can just go to like another team that's in Champions League football and is already quite well. Fox says, who's next? Sesko, Vlahovic, Kolumwani, Sorloth? Maybe. We haven't gotten that far because nothing is... It's not done yet. It's not dead yet. It's not like Gyokeres has completed the move, so I guess he's still kind of there. And it's not like Delap has gone to Chelsea, so he is there, and it could still go some other way. But, I mean, they could be putting these stories out there to create fuss as well. I mean, listen, it's the transfer window. You're gonna get a story. I mean, we literally just seen it yesterday. United are favorites, and we're in pole position. Fast forward 14 hours later, apparently Chelsea have now all of a sudden taken the pole position because they could offer Champions League football. I mean, I could write that. Give me their name and give me their Twitter account, and I could have wrote that without any sources or any information at all, because they've been saying this for weeks now. They've been saying, oh, he's going to make a determination, but he wants Champions League football, but he's going to wait and see where the clubs finish, and Chelsea are kind of interested in him, and United are kind of interested in him. And, I don't think nothing significant has happened. Arsenal have not put in a bid for Gyokeres. Nobody has put in a bid for Gyokeres. Nothing is developed on that end, as far as we know. Nothing has been reported. Nobody has actually put in a concrete bid for Delap yet as well. It's just all speculation. So it looks bleak. We could get something out of it. Hopefully we do. And maybe something goes our way. But it is of a concern, because if it does go the way that it seems like it might go, and we end up not being able to get the 3, what do we do then? Because we don't know. I mean, the club hasn't really... We haven't really gotten that sort of information, because I think they were banking on getting one of the 3. I would assume that they have a plan to go further than that. But until we kind of get the information about it, we can't really know what we're going to do. Line says, as I said, this time let's be proactive, not reactive again. I mean, well, yeah, we got to be proactive for sure, but I think being proactive is just, one of the things of being proactive is making sure that you have enough directions to go in. Because it kind of is a bit, like for me, reactive is like if they just stopped at Delap. Like if it was just Gyokeres, Osimhen, and Delap, and they were like, all right, that's the 3 and we're good. And there's no other options after that, considering also, at this moment. I mean, even at this moment, even if they didn't do it, they should be doing it now, because there should be concern that, like, hey, we might not be able to get what we originally planned. So, proactive, give yourself as many lanes as possible to go down, just in case you are not able to do your first, 1, 2, or 3 targets. You should have at least maybe 4 or 5. That's proactive, because you can change your course as you go. Reactive is like, we put Gyokeres, Delap, and Osimhen. There was the warning signs, but, we'll think we'll get one. Then we don't get none, and then we're like, well, shit. Now we have to come up with a whole entirely brand new plan, literally right now, this second, and we don't have a lot of time either because the window's open and we need to act fast. So Lion says right, but if Gyokeres can turn our fortunes around, that's legend status. Yeah, but you have to but you have to but you have to but you have to be able to sell that to him, and I don't it depends what they value. You know, depends what they value. Like if he values Champions League as like his top priority, he'll literally just, I don't give a shit about being a legend at United. I just want to go play. I just want to go play Champions League football and try and win the trophy. And you guys aren't in it, and I ain't getting younger, and you guys are far away from it, and I can just go to a club that is literally closer. I mean, if you compare us to Arsenal in the Champions League, and Arsenal made the semifinals, we're not in it. If he doesn't have a necessary preference, and his and what he wants is Champions League, you can show him the whole history of United. You could tell him he could become a legend, but he can also become a legend at Arsenal if he goes to Arsenal and makes them win the Champions League or the Premier League. So, you know, you would have to have a bit of luck if he's like a fan or something of United. Then maybe you could sell it to him a little bit more. But if he's just a player and doesn't lean one way or the other and just is like pure business, I think it's extremely hard to try and sell him that if his number one thing is Champions League football. We could rebrand and welcome Rasmus Højlund and Joshua Zirkzee as new strikers. Yeah, I mean nobody wants to see that. We don't want to. Nobody wants to see that. We're tired of that. But let's get to Mbuemo, because that was the big story of today, really. So Rich Fay saying Ruben Amorim would like to add 2 attacking midfielders to his Manchester United side in the coming months, with Bryan Mbuemo viewed as another ideal addition to the squad alongside Matheus Cunha. He then followed up by saying Manchester United could use Alejandro Garnacho's sale to finance a summer move for Mbuemo. We also then got an update from Alex Crook, who said Manchester United have held talks with Bryan Mbuemo. Brentford value Mbuemo around £50 million. So, I mean, if he's valued around 50 million and we're going to sell Garnacho for around 50 million, it's pretty much a straight swap in that sense, money-wise. So, I mean, if we are selling Garnacho, which it seems like we are, this could potentially very well happen. But Simon Jones, who's a little bit more credible, works for the Daily Mail, but a little bit more credible, says Manchester United have made inquiries about Brentford's Bryan Mbuemo. So he's definitely one that's there on the list, definitely being discussed. Don't know if they'll pull the trigger or they'll be able to get the deal done, but he's definitely in contention at some sort of level, for sure. Also, Graham Bailey, a little bit more credible here than the first 2 sources. United's pursuit of Mbuemo is being led through analytics, with data heavily supporting a move for him. Some fans will rejoice because they say we don't do that enough. We probably don't, because I mean our structure and stuff is been quite disaster, and we need to be doing these sorts of things. Data and analytics and stuff helps you acquire the right types of players. I mean, Liverpool do it quite well. They have top people in there. They make very good signings. They have some of the best people in the world, actually, at their club doing this sort of thing in recruitment. And we are ones to be reported that we either weren't doing this, or we're very, very far behind and sort of stuck in the past and not really up to speed with that. So obviously there's been talk that, Ineos and co have been making a push to kind of up that sort of side of Manchester United. So let's see. But the last one about Mbuemo, Chris Wheeler, Lions' favorite person in the world, says Brentford will listen to offers for Mbuemo, who is said to cost £50 million, £50 million plus add-ons. So there is a little bit of there. But it still needs to develop more, and I think it's still a bit early days, and I don't think it's 100% concrete. I think he is one that is definitely there as a consideration. Maybe they don't go with him. Maybe they go with somebody else. Maybe we got to wait to see, the sale of Garnacho to do this sort of thing. I'm sure we'll get more updates over the next couple days, maybe even today if we already got one since I've gone live, which we'll check later, of course. So we'll see about that. But again, I rate him. I think he's a good player. If you watch him and if you've seen him play, he's a bit short and stocky, but he actually has speed for his stockiness, and the stockiness does help him because he's able to be quite physical. And he has very good dribbling. He could take on 3 or 4 players. He ain't selfish like Garnacho is. He could score your goals for sure because he's got 20 of them. So we know he has a shot. We know he has an eye for goal, but he also is very good at making excellent passes and looking for teammates. And this just kind of fits the profile of what Ruben wants in his team and what I think we need in the team in general, in a good football team in general. I think that's what you kind of need. Chris Wheeler Dealer, Samuel No Luckhurst, Alex the Crook, Disco Mirror, UK's finest journalist. Yeah, I mean, they're not, they're not like random people that we've picked up off of Twitter, but they're also not, they're not Laurie Whitwell's, they're not Fabricio's, they're not, they're not that certain level. We trust those people and we like those people much more than them. But so Mbuemo could cost 60 million plus add-ons. I don't know. Well, no, it would cost 50 million. It would cost 50. Well, according to Chris Wheeler, it would cost 50 million plus add-ons. So probably 50. Probably 55 to 60. Probably something like that. Again, for a Prem player, I think it's a standard price in today's time. I think 50 to 60 million for a player like him with his stats at his age. I think it's a standard price, to be quite honest. I don't think you'll really get lower than that. He has some stats to back it up as well. So, and these clubs, again, it's not like back in the old day where you could poach them for, back in the old day, we'd probably get a player like this for about 30 million because Brentford would be, foaming out of the mouth for money. All these football clubs they're very good with their finances nowadays. They're not, they'll take the money and they'll be happy about it, but it's not like they're in absolute desperation, starvation mode. They'll be happy with a couple pennies. Like they can hold out, they will hold out, and they'll demand the fee. And also, if other clubs, if there's other interest as well, it always makes it harder as well. So, we'll see. We had a small update about Marcus Rashford. One update coming from Fabrizio Romano. This was his tweet saying Marcus Rashford will return to Manchester United after loan to Aston Villa and will be available for £40 million this summer. The same price as buy option clause into his Villa loan contract, all available also to other clubs. Rashford will assess all options ahead of the summer transfer window. So I think now that Villa's not in the Champions League, I think Marcus probably doesn't want to go there, which is why this is happening. I don't know if Villa want him as well at the same time, because, we don't know. They didn't say that they didn't really want to pick up the, pay the fee or not. But if he doesn't want to be there, then why would they try that? Because, they might have talked to him first and maybe he said that he doesn't want it. So, why would Villa even attempt it if Marcus doesn't want it? I think Marcus clearly wants Champions League football. He clearly wants to go to some sort of a big club. I still think Barcelona is probably his number one destination. I think it's his number one destination. I think he'll probably, I'm going to be quite honest. He's probably going to drag this out a little bit unless Barcelona have the finances or can move quickly for this and not drag it out. I think he'll drag it out because I think in terms of the options that he has, I think Barcelona is probably the top target that he has. It's probably the best option in terms of a football club of identity and brand and stature. It's the highest one he can go to that's available to him. And I think he really wants to go there. And so he may drag this out because I think just like he did in January, where he waited till like literally almost the last day because he wanted to go to Barca and Barca couldn't materialize the deal for him because they couldn't move. He now has all summer. He now has pretty much all summer. So he can literally sit there and wait for Barcelona, and Barcelona might have to do some things where they got to sell a couple players before they could make a move for Marcus Rashford. And Marcus Rashford will probably be more than happy to wait a month. Maybe we end up selling Rashford in July, mid-July or something, because maybe he talks to the Barca people and they're like, we're coming to get you, but you got to give us a few weeks and stuff because we need to offload some players. So we got to make some sales before we could get the money in to put in the bid for you. But also, there's also the concern of, we got the update about one time that he's not willing to look for a pay cut. I think that shortens his options significantly because who wants to pay him $325,000 a week? Nobody wants to pay anybody that money except for, if you were Ronaldo or Messi, or maybe Mbappe at this point, or if you're a Saudi club and you just pay people, 30 million a year, different story. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's no way he actually comes back to Manchester United. Like, he's not going to rejoin us. There's no pathway back for him. So that's not going to happen. But I don't know how quickly this one is going to go. I have a good feeling that this is probably going to get dragged out. And I don't think he's necessarily it's not something that he's like doing it as like a middle finger to the football club. I just think that he's just really set on Champions League and Barcelona, and him and his people are looking at it and like literally, if we go anywhere else, it's kind of a step down. It's kind of a step down. It's probably their best chance to get the best transfer in their opinion. So they might wait it out for a while. Especially depending on, what Barca's people tell, his agent or his people and stuff like that. So, can't we get our friends in Saudi to bid for Marcus? But Marcus has to want to go to Saudi. And I don't think he does. I don't think Marcus wants to go to Saudi. Marcus wants the money he has, but Marcus seems to be doing this thing where he wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants to be paid $325,000 a week. He doesn't want to go to Saudi because there's no Champions League there. It's not an elite league, and it's not great for his brand. He wants to go to Barcelona because it's a high stature club that is historic and iconic. And they play in the Champions League, and they just won the league. So, like, for him, that's probably the perfect place if you're going from Manchester United. If it was Madrid, he'd go to Madrid as well, but obviously they're not interested in him. Barca, there has been interest from their side in him. So, everywhere else, whoever it may be, I think they look at it as a step down, and they don't really want to do that. Now, if the Barca thing collapses because they can't agree in negotiations with each other, or, Barca decide not to go for him, then obviously he's going to have to look elsewhere and he's going to have to take the best possible deal he gets. But as long as Barcelona are making themselves available and putting themselves on the table there for Rashford, I think he will hold out for them as long as they're around. Which is quite annoying because, but this is the problem that we may face because we need the money and we want this deal done. We want him sold ASAP, but we're not in too much control in that aspect as well. So, Grace says, I'm not religious. Hold on. I missed something. I don't think Marcus would consider Saudi those his lines. Yep, that's what I was just saying. Grace says, I'm not religious, but pray for everyone who was involved in the incident in Liverpool yesterday. Yes, we mentioned that a couple times already. I did the intro to the show. Some of you weren't here, but yeah, we did say that. I mean, prayers to again the people at Liverpool that were at the trophy celebration. And that whole thing with the car, disgusting. I did see that the man that was driving the vehicle has been arrested. I didn't see any other details though, but I mean, yeah, it's just sad. Sad shit, dude. You know, it's sad that you live in a world where people can't go in the street to celebrate a football team winning a trophy for the season without getting injured or killed or traumatized. It's sad shit. And it sucks. And not to get too off topic, but I do believe these people that do these things, they do need to be made examples of. Um, Sort of like an Hammurabi's code, an eye for an eye, because I think it's kind of been proven to be effective. It's a little bit extreme, but I mean, there's some countries out there that if you listen, if you cause bodily harm to somebody, the same thing happens to you. Their crime rate is quite low, so it does tend to stop people from doing heinous and extreme acts of violence. But when you're not severely punished, it allows these things to sort of continue and carry on. So, yeah. Lion says our things could go so wrong for him like it did for Lingard and end up in South Korea. Maybe, but I don't know. I still think that he's still rated as Lingard was never rated that highly though in terms of ability. I think Rashford is not the same. I don't think they view Rashford as the same level as I think they look at Rashford. The fact that Barcelona are interested in him, and the fact that he actually played decently well, we went to Villa. I don't think it's at the same level. I think Lingard was one that some fans liked, some fans hated, and he was reluctant to leave United. One, because he loved it, but two, probably also, and somewhere in the back of his mind was like, well, it's only down here from me. When I leave Manchester United, it's not like it's not like some other team, big team, is coming to pick me up. It's I'm going to a smaller team. So, um, oh, by the way, something that we didn't talk about last time. We have 2-3 more updates, but real quick. Remember last time when I put Collier on the thumbnail and you guys thought it was Brandon Williams and we were talking about Brandon Williams? Well, I don't know. We didn't talk about this and I forgot to bring it into one of the shows, but I don't know if you guys heard, but Brandon Williams has been arrested and sent to prison for, I think, 18 months or something like that. So yeah, I mean, sad shit how that's gone for him. Was at Manchester United and he's been a free agent since he's left us and hasn't played football, and his career absolutely in the gutter, going down the drain. He apparently. So does the death penalty help with reducing the murder rate in the state? It does in some places. I mean, I don't know statistically. I do feel like though that probably I would say, I mean, you would have to check for sure, Lions, but I would from a common sense point of view, I would say if you're going to commit a certain crime and the penalty is death, I feel like people will be a lot less inclined because they might want to commit the act of crime. They might not even be afraid to go to prison, but they'll still be alive. But I think a lot of people are afraid of dying. You know what I mean? So, but I'm talking about not even in the States. I'm talking about there's countries out there where like, they'll like, eye for an eye. Like they will literally, like if you do something to somebody, they do the same to you. And it stops a lot of people from doing a lot of bad things. They still do it. It's not like it's zero. It still happens, but I think it's definitely on a lower level. So, suspended prison sentence, Eric, for Williams. Well, I just pulled up the article because I was reading it because I just saw like a little bit of a headline. So, um, yeah, apparently he was arrested because and this was a pending case that was for 2 years. He was using nitrous oxide and he used it while he was driving and he crashed his vehicle. Um, so he was high on nitrous oxide and he crashed his vehicle, which I'm not surprised about because there was a photo of him literally in the parking lot inhaling a balloon. Um, Shortly after him leaving Manchester United, somebody snapped him inhaling a balloon in his car behind the wheel in a parking lot somewhere. So, and I always said, full article here we go, BBC News. um Yeah, former Manchester United star Brandon Williams has received a suspended prison sentence for dangerous driving after he reached nearly 100 miles per hour before a crash. The 24-year-old footballer was spotted driving at high speeds and erratically in a Audi A3 on the A34 near Handforth, Cheshire, on 20th August 2023. His car was then in a collision with the Ford Fiesta before crashing into the central reservation. Chester Crown Court also heard Williams and his female passenger appeared to have yellow balloons in their mouths. Same color balloon that he did in the parking lot. Williams, who admitted to dangerous driving and driving without insurance, was sentenced to a 14-month jail term, suspended for 2 years. Yeah. So, they said that he was driving too fast. The court told Williams, he has a lack of maturity and stuff like that. He was driving like an idiot, well in excess of speed limit, and was showing off. One person was quoted saying, um, he added, in the last few years, Brandon Williams has had to live with significant mental health and neurological issues. He is in better shape mentally and physically right now, knowing the harm he caused to others and the pressure of these proceedings coming have weighted heavily on his shoulders. That is a defendant who is trying, this is a defendant who is trying his level best to get his career back on track and improve his physical and mental well-being. The judge noted references from Mr. O'Shea and fellow football coach Wayne Richardson, as well as Williams' work with homelessness charity shelter. Mr. Lamb told, there is a different side to your character. So, again, I mean, I don't wish that shit for anybody. I did question him heavily. I remember one time, it was probably a year ago when we first started kind of doing these shows, somebody was talking about Brandon Williams, and I kind of just said about him in terms of kind of his mentality and attitude as a footballer. I didn't like the things he was doing. He had a couple of chances under Ali. He started acting like he's made it, like he was already a star. And he was doing stupid stuff in public, socially, going with, adult film actresses and posing pictures with them and stuff like that, which, listen, you do what you want in your life, but at the same time, you're also at an institution of Manchester United and you have a certain reputation and a certain image to kind of uphold. And what you do in your private life is fine, but when you put it for everybody to see, you are going to be judged and it is going to affect how people look at you and stuff like that. So, it happens, so hopefully, at the very least, I mean, nobody really wants to see somebody like that throw everything all away. So hopefully, Brandon Williams, hopefully he turns it around, and hopefully he's learned his lesson and he grows up a little bit, and maybe he revives himself, his career. So, but I imagine he's not in a good state of mind in the moment. Well, that's what they said. He wasn't. They said he's doing better now, so hopefully he is doing better. So, Brandon must be one of the few footballers ever to have played for both Ipswich and Norwich. Well, maybe, yeah, probably. There's probably not many of them. Elias says, 14 months in jail, but he is lucky not to sit for 2 years. Damn. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he is yeah, he's got to do a year. He's got to do a year and 2 months in jail. Grace says it's Cheshire, not Shire, but it's spelled Cheshire. It's fine. No, because yeah, we can just laugh at you. I mean, listen, I try my best. I ain't British, you know. I'm American, and I'm New York. I do my best. Um, yeah, those are the most difficult ones. The names of towns and stuff like that. Because it's not things that I hear people pronounce quite often. So like, if it's like a football or something, I'll hear somebody else that's English. Um, I'll hear somebody else say it, so then I know how to pronounce it. But like, I'm not from there. I'm not from that area. So, and people aren't gonna be talking about Cheshire, um, like that. So, but Grace, I mean, corrects me and she lets me know. So now I know. So that's fine. Williams made 50 plus appearances for United. Not bad, to be fair. He'll always have that. I mean, yeah, he did. It was just that it was that point. I remember specifically. I mean, Ollie gave him a couple chances in the first team and stuff like that, and I remember just seeing stories about him being published, and he was, kind of acting out in public, doing stupid things, and getting bad press for it. And I was just like, I didn't like it. I'm like, again, I'm like, "Bro, you could do what you want necessarily in your private life, but I'm like, I don't really want to. I don't want to see young kids like that. You have an you're at a point where you have an opportunity of a lifetime that many people around the world would kill for it, and it's like to watch you not necessarily take it seriously. Um, and lay the ground to kind of mess it all up is quite frustrating, but it's also just sad to see. It's sad to watch because it's like, dude, you could have actually become something, and we had hopes for you, and you fucked it all up. You fucked it all up. Um, I forgot you lot can't speak English. That's right. That's right. I speak American. I speak American. When you think of the amount of youth talents we've had, that for whatever reason never became the permanent fixture they would / could have. Juan Zabi, Fasu Mendes, John Ozai, and Williams. Well, but that happens all the time. It's just a normal part of football. But like, some of them just ain't good enough or whatever. I mean, that's just normal, right? But it's a different thing when like off-field antics and stuff like that leads to like the downfall. Because it's one thing if you ain't good enough or you don't develop properly, that shit happens all the time at every level, at every football club. But when it's things that are like the club should be on top of, and like if there's problems, the club should be doing everything to make sure that the kid stays on track and stuff. Because clearly there was issues there, and there was clearly warning signs, and I'm sure people that are at the club, I'm sure that they knew things that we probably weren't even privy to, and probably still aren't privy to, that happened with him, because they find out everything. And it's like, well, they probably didn't do enough to try and straighten that shit out. Because when you think about Fergie, I mean, when it came to things like people drinking and stuff like that, I mean, he found out everything. And when he found it out, he fucking sorted it out one way or another. And obviously, the biggest thing he'd threaten you with is kicking you the fuck out of Manchester United and never playing here again. But he would go and figure that out. And obviously, after him, we kind of just been all over the place, and we don't, you know, we've had incidents with players that it was like, well, it seems like we weren't doing our utmost best because these kids that we had, these young guys with all this money and this attention and shit, we let them stray off a path, and we weren't really watching them too well, or we didn't do enough to prevent it from getting to a point where it got really bad. So, um, this is a town in Wales. That's not a town in Wales. There's no way that's a town in Wales. I can't even pronounce that. Landfair. Landfair. I can't. How the fuck? There's no way that's a real town. There's no way that's a real town. Google it. There's no way that's a real town, dude. What? Who lives in this town? Town in Wales with long name. Holy shit. It is a real town. It's a village and community on the island of Ainsley, known for its 58-letter name. Bro, how do you even pronounce that? Originally, the town had a shorter and easier to pronounce name, and then they were like, let's just fuck it up for everybody. In the 1880s, in a joking attempt to attract tourists, the tailor added the rest of the syllables, bringing the total length to 58 letters, including 4 letter L's in a row. Bro, what? Can I get Google to pronounce this for me? Because I don't even know how to get past... I don't even know how to get past the first part. I don't even know how to do it. Google. Let's see. If I could get it. Can it speak to me? Clonferpul Gwyngyth. Clonferpul Gwyngyth. That's what Google says. That's how it's pronouncing it. Dude, that's not even normal. Llanfairpil Gwyn Gilgo Gary Richwin. What the fuck? Go to my Discord. I put a video in there. I'll get in there after the show. I'll jump in there, check it out. Williams' sentence is suspended for 2 years. He won't serve time. All right. Still needs to do community service though. Well, hopefully he sorts his shit out. Real quick though, we have Bruno update. Chris Wheeler again, Lions' favorite person in the whole world, his best friend. Keeping him informed. Says Bruno Fernandes is still considering an offer from Al Hilal. Manchester United are desperate not to lose their captain, but would find it hard to reject the bid in the region of £100 million. Again, I think from a football sense, regardless of however you feel of Bruno Fernandes, whether you think he's the best player, he's shit, or whatever, remove the name Bruno Fernandes. It's just a footballer, blank canvas, 31-year-old, £100 million. You don't have a squad, and your squad is shit. I mean, you have to consider it. At the very least, you have to 100% agree with it. I think we have breaking news, though. So let me go to that, because I just seen something pop up, and it's about Liam Delap. So let's see what it is and how good it is. Rob Dawson, ESPN. So there is breaking news surrounding Liam Delap right now. Rob Dawson is breaking this news, and it is all over the place. Apparently, breaking news, Manchester United have agreed the framework of a deal for Liam Delap and are now waiting for the striker to decide on his next move. United have informed Ipswich that they will meet the £30 million release clause in Delap's contract if he gives the green light for a move to Old Trafford. So, well, we've put in the bid, essentially, verbally, not physically, but we've put in the bid. So, let me see if there's anything added on to this. Manchester United have reached an agreement with Ipswich Town to sign Liam Delap. So, I guess we're just waiting for him to make up his fucking mind. But if this is, I mean, if it's true, we have to be leading the race for this. Because, I mean, Chelsea haven't done that. So, we're clearly in pole position right now. Unless Chelsea also offer the bid. Rob Dawson says Manchester United are attempting to act quickly in the transfer market. I think everybody will be extremely happy about that. I know many of you have said, at the very least, the one thing you want to see is speed. So hopefully, that is the truth. And we do get that. I think that will be one thing that the fans, people will be, obviously people get excited when we make signings, but people get divided. Some people might not rate Delap, right? Some people will rate Delap, and then it's kind of a bit of a back and forth. But I think if we're fast and we're quick in the market, I don't think there's one person out there that's going to be like, I'd rather have them go a little bit slower. I think the entire Manchester United fan base would actually be united on one topic for once in our lives, and not fight with each other over things like that. So I'm just saying, there was an added on update to the that last update that I read about the agreed for the framework of the deal for Liam Delap. Follows by saying the outline of personal terms have been agreed with Liam Delap's representatives, and the transfer could move quickly once the striker makes a decision on his future. So probably this time this week. I mean, can somebody tell me when does the under 21s Euros start? Because that was the update that they said that he's going to make the decision before. I think, did it say by next week or something like that? So hopefully, I mean, considering where we are, again, I would have preferred Gyokeres or Osimhen, but I mean, if we can't get either one of those because we ain't got no Champions League, and he's the best option, I guess I'm gonna have to take it. Fox said June 11th, 2025 to June 28th, 2025. UEFA European Under 21 Championship. So yeah, so next week, then I guess they would leave to go start doing that thing because they're gonna train and stuff like that. So yeah, so I guess by the end of this week sometime he should be making his decision, and we should know if we're gonna actually get him or not. So Chelsea need to pay up for Sancho. Well, let's just not have them take the lap first. How about that? And then we can worry about Sancho. Elias says, "Oh damn, Ineos are cooking. I hope it's not like last season where they got 2 players early and then we went silent for a long old while until Euro, and then we were quick with the Ugarte. LOL, this club." Well, I think maybe that could have been because, again, they weren't fully in place. So, and they didn't have as much time. Again, that's why I was saying, like, my hope is that, considering that they've all been in the positions now for a good amount of time and they're more settled, and the plan should be more structured and more detailed and more laid out and more thorough. We should be able to move faster. We should have a lot more options. We should have a lot more pathways. In my opinion, if they're doing their job correctly, and I don't know because I can't watch them work, and I'm not there, behind the scenes. So, but from a common sense point of view, if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, technically we should be able to move faster, and we shouldn't hit a period like Lyle mentioned. It shouldn't be a thing really where we end up with 2 players and then we go mute for about a month, and went silent. That really shouldn't be happening. If we have everything planned out and detailed and mapped out, we should be able to jump from a target to another target. Like, we might not necessarily get that target, but if it doesn't work out for whatever reason, if he doesn't want to come to us, if he chooses to go somewhere else, if we can't necessarily come to a certain agreement, we should be able to pivot and go to another target very quickly. I think last season they kind of had a bit of a problem because I think they had maybe a couple ideas, but maybe things weren't too thought out in that necessarily in that way, and they had to take some time to sort out the decision or the path that they were going to go down. Considering fast forward to now, they've been here for, you know, the amount of time that they've been here for, they should have everything in a way structured that they should be able to move quite quickly. So, here we are going for third choice. Yeah, but you know, again, well, hold on. Well, to be fair, it's my third choice, and it might be your third choice, but from the club standpoint, I mean, it's Jason Wilcox's first choice. And I don't know what choice it is for Ruben Amorim, but it's probably not one because he wanted Victor Gyokeres, so Victor Gyokeres would be one. But also, again, I mean, if you, I mean, you know, uh, what are you supposed to do, really? In a certain circumstance, it's one thing. It's one thing to get a third choice because you don't want to spend the money, but it's another choice. It's another thing to get third choice if you can't get Gyökeres because he doesn't want to come to your football club because of the circumstances of your football club, because you're not in Champions League. I mean, there's nothing you could really do. And again, these things happen in football, but the point is, if you don't get the first choice or your second choice and you get the third choice has to at least make sense to whatever the first two choices were. They still have to be similar. In the past, I think we had first choice. We didn't even have really a second or third choice. The second or third choice was shit that we made up after the first choice failed. And the second choice and the third choice was never aligned with the first choice. The first choice was a certain player with a certain characteristics. The second and third choices were different than the first choice, and the second and third choice were different from each other as well. There was no proper like plan around it. So, I mean, there's nothing we can really do. I mean, we've fucked up the chance to get, in my opinion, you know, if we don't get Gyökeres, it's because we fucked up the chance to get him, because all we had to do was win one match and be in the Champions League, and we would probably be in a very, very strong position to get him right now. But considering we didn't do that, you know, we can't kidnap him, tie him up, and make him sign a contract to come to us. You know, if he doesn't want to come because we're not in Champions League, there ain't shit you could do. And the other guy is the same. I mean, Osimhen is the same. He wants Champions League, or he wants a high payday. And he doesn't seem that too interested. So, I mean, there's nothing we could really do other than go and get this kid, because it's probably the best. And we still had a chance to miss him out too, so we almost didn't get him either. Lion says maybe Delap has been first choice all along. We just don't know. Well, I mean, they've been saying that the club have deemed Delap the first choice. The fans haven't made him first choice. The fans made Gyökeres first choice, or Osimhen, and you could swap them around, first or second choice. But the reports that we've been getting for the past like 2 months, they have been saying every single time that Liam Delap is Manchester United's first choice target. They then come with a story saying that Ruben Amorim really wants Victor Gyokeres. So fans say that, you know, Gyokeres is Ruben Amorim's number one target, and then they make them their own target. Like me, I would prefer Gyokeres, and I said that he should be number one target. But the football club seemed to have made Liam Delap was their first target. So, Ronaldo wasn't first choice. Ronaldinho was. Yeah. Cantona wasn't first choice or second choice. Shara and Hurst was. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not always about first choice. It's just it's about if it makes sense to what you're trying to do. Like, again, in the past, our problem with getting second, third, or fourth choice was because it didn't make sense. They didn't fit. They were like, if our first choice was like Harry Kane, and then we end up with fucking Wout Weghorst, they're two completely different. First of all, levels different, but they're two different types of strikers, like completely. They don't even, it doesn't even match in any sense. And that's always been the problem that we've had recently. Realistically, if you don't manage to get your first choice, the second choice, or the third choice, they still have to be similar to the first choice, at the very least, to minimize the loss of not getting the first choice. But in the past, we just fucking, it was like Sancho, pretty much. We only want Sancho. We had no other options. There was nobody else being linked to us. It was only Sancho. And if we couldn't get Sancho, then we're getting nobody. In that situation. The other situations, it was like, we want this guy. We went all out for him. We couldn't get him, or we didn't get him. And then we're like, well, we actually don't have any other options. So now we just have to pull something out of our ass because we still need a striker, or we still need a midfielder or whatever. We still need to get somebody. We have no clue who to get because we were all in for this guy and we lost this guy. And then they panic, and then they literally just go and pick, it's almost like they pick a fucking name out of a hat and they're like, there you go. Go with this guy, So, it's like we missed out on Hazard, Robin, etc. when we had Champions League, but then we got Pogba, Ibra, Di Maria without Champions League. It swings and roundabouts. The lap passes the eye test. He does. I mean, he does have skill. It's not like he's not it's not like he's not a skillful player. I just said that I preferred the more experienced and striker and Gyokeres, and I think he's a certain level above the lap. But I always said it's not like the lap is garbage. He has abilities. I just don't know if I trust it necessarily. But then that was also kind of before the whole Europa League final, and as much as I don't like it, unfortunately, and I have no hand in this, so it's not my fault, and it's not anybody else's fault. It's the players and the manager and the club. It's their fault because they had the opportunity to give themselves a better opportunity to get better players, and they had to go win one match against Tottenham, who didn't win a trophy for fucking 78 years. And they lost the match, and they lost Champions League to them, and now this is what happens. So, but let me see, because there's still more updates coming out on this end. So I'm just gonna check to see if anything extra is being added on here. Rob Dawson also saying Manchester United are interested in Mbuemo and Eze as well. So, again, I think they are definitely looking for another number 10 of some sort. Doesn't Eze play more in the midfield, though? Or is he like more in the pivot? Can Eze play in the pivot? Or is he more attacking? He plays more. Doesn't he play more in the pivot? Or he's considered an attacking midfielder. Main position is an attacking midfielder, so he would be for the 10, and can also kind of play winger as well. But I mean, he has 8 goals, 8 assists in 34 matches in the Premier League. I mean, Mbuemo has a way better record than that. So, but yeah, I don't know. As a 10, yeah, as a 10. Say that again. As a, easy. As a? Easy E. Easy E. McCarroll's don't joke about. Don't joke about what? What are we joking about? What happened? Let me go back in here. Where did my news go? Oh, here we go. All right, because there was some other updates as well, besides the whole Delap thing. So that's breaking news. Fabrizio Romano, 29 minutes ago, came with an update saying Manchester United want to sign an extra player behind the striker, but it depends on departures. There is real interest in Mbuemo. But he is not the only one on the list. So again, see, I do think, like I said earlier, I think that he definitely is on the list. There is some interest in him, but I don't think it's like it's not like ready to go yet. He's being considered. He's there. There's obviously we have different options. Eze was one that is obviously just been named as well, but there's probably at least another one or two. Um, and I take Fabrizio's word on it because I said the same as well before that. It probably depends on departures, and that's what they were saying before, kind of about Garnacho. So if Garnacho goes and Garnacho's sold, considering Garnacho plays that position, that's the position he was playing in our squad, and we're gonna get rid of him. Um, you know, Cunha was always coming, so somebody's gonna have to come and replace Garnacho. Um, so it's gonna be one of these guys for sure. So I think you sell Garnacho. I think the sale of Garnacho allows us to get one of these guys. So as of right now, Cunha is here already. Striker seems like hopefully it's going to be Delap, and hopefully he picks us so we could get the striker out of the way. And then there'll probably be a little bit of talk of the 10, but then probably I guess the midfield or something like that after, because I would assume from this point, to get that 10, we got to sell Garnacho. So while they're waiting for that and working on that, I guess they'll be looking at the other positions as well, wherever they're going to get midfielder or defender or whatever they choose to do. Fabrizio saying signing another 10 is a mission at Manchester United, but depends on outgoing. So, yeah. Apparently, yeah, because there's also Turkey. So the list of 10s is Mbuemo, Eze, Turkey, and Mastantuono. That's the list we have. So one of these guys will come. I guess if we sell Garnacho, or when we sell Garnacho, because I don't think Garnacho's staying. And Fabrizio saying we appreciate Mbuemo. And we have genuine interest in him. He's huge Manchester United strategy, which I do agree with 100%. Definitely a player for the future and can make an instant impact 100%. 100%. 100%. You can tell that by his profile. 100%. Just a little bit of sort of kind of related United news, but not really because I mean he's not our player, but he's our legend. Cristiano Ronaldo is leaving Al Hilal and he is going somewhere. He did not say where he's going. He wrote on Instagram, the chapter is over. The story is still being written. Grateful to all. So he's leaving Saudi Arabia. So he's going to go somewhere. And I'm sure many people are going to be interested as to where he goes. Don't know where he goes from here, to be quite honest. There's been talk about him going back into Europe in some sort of form, some way, maybe to jump back into the Champions League. I don't know where he'll end up, really, at this stage of his career. But, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with him on that. Because, at the end of the day, it's Ronaldo. And many people are still interested in Ronaldo, of course. So, Matheus Cunha in the Premier League last season, which was the season that we literally just ended. 33 games, 29 starts, 15 goals, 6 assists. Yep. So he had 21 GA in 29 starts and 33 matches played. Yeah, I mean, for me, again, like, somebody made a post about Gyokeres here, and there's just no denying, like, the guy has 60 goals assists this season. Like, he has 63 goals and 17 assists in 57 games. Like, the numbers by itself is ridiculous. And people, some people try to say it's just the Portuguese league. Like, he still scored 6 goals in 6 UCL starts for Sporting in the Champions League. So I mean, he's definitely not just you don't. He's definitely not just the Portuguese league. He's an elite striker, which is gonna suck because we're not gonna be able to probably get him. I hope somehow we do, because again, it's not done, it's not dead necessarily. And maybe, again, I think if they do sell Rasmus, then maybe they do get him. But I mean, it's not like he's chosen to go somewhere yet. And as far as I know, no club has actually put in an actual bid yet. It hasn't been confirmed. So he's still there. There's always still a chance, at the very least, till it's done. Um, yep. So just as a fair enough. SA. SA is not a 10. SA. Easy E. That's what I'm going to call him. His name is Easy E. Um, his name is Easy E. Yeah, that's what they're reporting now. Easy E. Um, we're interested in Easy E. This is what they're saying. This is what Rob Dawson, ESPN, is saying. Manchester United are interested in Easy E. So yeah. Again, I think he's definitely on the list. Like I was just saying, he's on the list. He's he's there. There's about 5 of them on that list. So, I don't know which one we're gonna end up with. Um, but I think we'll get one because they clearly want 2 number 10s. So we'll end up getting one for sure. I just don't know which one we're gonna get. Um, you know, I want me some say John Claire Mateta and Aiden Walt on good buys too. You put out some names that like even I don't know who they are. I mean, I've never heard of Aiden. I don't even know who that is. Aiden Walt. Who is he? Where does he play? What position does he play? I've never heard of him. Your scouting is like football manager regen status. You're just picking up people from all over the place. Sooner we offload Rashford, Sancho, Anthony. Yep. Ronaldo's record in Saudi was 111 in games, 9 goals. Yeah. Ronaldo is as interesting as the stuff I found at the bottom of my shoe after walking in the park. Too much? Oh, you don't like Ronaldo? MLS Ronaldo makes sense. World Cup 2026. I don't think so. Marketability wise, sure, and maybe he does do it. The reason why I say that is because I feel like Cristiano Ronaldo does not like America. I don't think he likes America. I don't think he um there was one point in time when he was young and he was at Manchester United. He was 22 or something like that. He came over here, got into a bit of trouble. I don't think he necessarily likes the LA lifestyle, which is probably where they would want him, unless Inter Miami could get him at Inter Miami. And Miami is different than LA, but really the only place for him to really go would probably be one of the LA teams, for the LA market. And I don't think he necessarily wants to bring his family here. I sort of get that vibe. He ran into a bit of trouble here. He was accused of the R word. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, so I don't want to say it, but I would say it. I just don't know if YouTube will have a problem with me saying that. So yeah, he was accused of that here. And as far as I can remember, from that point forward, he never came back here. He never came back to the States, not to visit, not for, an event, not for holiday, not for nothing. He never came back here after that. So I don't think he quite likes it here. I think he probably wants to stay somewhere in Europe. I don't think he'll come here. We've always talked about it, me and my friends, because again, three of them are Portuguese, and we've always just kind of said it doesn't really fit his thing. It doesn't. He could still do it, but I just kind of get a feeling that he doesn't really. It's not something he's really looking to do, um, especially at this point in time. So, yeah, Easy E, yeah. You just made the list. Ronaldo to Wrexham, new challenge. Maybe it could go to the Brazil League. Well, there was something that was mentioned about him going to Brazil League. I mean, something that maybe he could do is go to Germany. I mean, I don't know if he wants to go to Germany. Again, it's up to him. I mean, he could literally go probably wherever he wants because his name is still Ronaldo for the most part. So, I mean, there's options like he could go to the French league. He hasn't been there, and he hasn't been to the German league, so maybe he could go there. I don't know where else he would go. I mean, he's still scoring a bunch of goals. I don't know how he would necessarily fit in certain places. I don't think he would like end up going to like the Dutch league or something like that. Um, I guess it depends what he's got available to him. So the J League, nah, most definitely not. It has to be somewhere where there's got to be some sort of a marketability, but also at the same time, I think he may still want to play some type of Champions League football. So if there's a way for him to do that, I think he'll try and do that. Um, unless he's over it already, because he didn't do it for 2 years. Um, so I mean, if he's not concerned about the Champions League, I mean, for me, if he can't get into like a top five league, which I mean, I don't think he'll come back to England. I think that's because I would find it extremely weird for him to do that, considering he already did that with us twice, and I don't think he wants to do that. I kind of feel like he just won't go to Italy, although maybe he will again. Maybe he'll go to Italy, but I don't think they can afford it because there's not much money. So I don't know. It's weird. I mean, he could go to America for the marketability. I mean, it makes sense in that sense, but I don't know. I kind of get this feeling he doesn't really want to come to America. So, could Ronaldo do it at a cold, rainy night in New York City? He probably could, to be honest. With his mentality and attitude, he definitely would. It'd fit right in. Tough atmosphere, tough people. But he's built a career on that, so he definitely probably would. Sporting return, I think at one point, yeah. You know what? He could actually do that. Um, but I don't know. See, the thing is about him is I think he will return to Sporting at one point because I think he said that he would, but it depends when I guess he's thinking about retiring. Because for me, for him to go to Sporting, that means that it's the end. Because he's always said that he will go to Sporting before he retires. So if it's like Sporting, that's it. Like he's gonna retire soon, in the next year or two. I don't know if he plans to retire in the next year or two. He definitely wants this World Cup. And I think he said something about even being involved in the next Euros. So last time. So if that's true, he still needs to play for another 3 years at the minimum. I don't know if he would do 3 years at Sporting, um but who the heck is going to afford Ronaldo? Well, he might make some concessions, you know? He might make some concessions. Um I guess it depends what they got to offer. And I guess it depends what he wants. You know what I mean? if he has this urge that he really wants to play Champions League football again, and he wants to be back in the Champions League and score goals in the Champions League to push the record up, then maybe he takes some sort of a concession with the wages or whatever it is, you know. If that's not his concern and he just wants to play in like another league or something, or if he wants the most money, then then you got to go somewhere that gives you the most money. But if it's something football wise, career wise, record wise, in terms of getting more goals in the Champions League to up the goal scoring record in there, then take a bit of a pay cut, I guess. He'll probably join another Saudi team. I don't think so. I don't think so. How about Ronaldo 3.0, the last dance? Well, we do need a striker that is experienced. So, and we do have Ruben Amorim, who's Portuguese, so maybe they would get along. Although Ronaldo tends to just not respect many people anymore. So yeah, probably not though, right? As long as the Glazers are still here, I don't think that would happen again. So I could see him retiring summer 2026 after Portugal win the World Cup. Well, maybe if they win the World Cup, yeah. If they don't win the World Cup, I think he'll try to push to the Euros to get another one. Him and Pog back tearing it up. Oh boy. No. I mean I love Ronaldo, so like I would have no problem taking him back. But Pogba, he's not one that I like too much. So and I think if you compare both, I think Ronaldo would still give you way more than Pogba can at this current time. Pogba is quite washed. And he's quite injury prone. At least Ronaldo's fit. He'll play the games for you, and he'll definitely score you goals. There's another. So Rob Dawson coming in. It's like Rob Dawson's watching this show, because 8 minutes ago, Rob Dawson has said Marcus Rashford is keen to move to Barcelona if they firm up tentative interest expressed in the January window. And I'm just a guy, but I mean, it was quite easy to read into because he literally waited all of January for these guys. And obviously he's still keen because, again, in my opinion, you're going from Manchester United and you're the type of guy that he is, and with his people, MR10 brand, one of the best footballers in the world, that he thinks and his people think and tell him that he is. If you leave Manchester United, you have to go to a club like Barca or like Real Madrid. Can't go to fucking Liverpool. Obviously, I mean you can, but bad PR move. And you can't go to like Arsenal, because bad PR move. And you can't go to like Chelsea because bad PR move. So, and not that those clubs want him anyway. Those clubs also need to want him, but yeah, for me, it makes the most sense. I mean, you're going from Manchester United, you have a brand, you think you're one of the best players in the world, and your people want to put you somewhere where you are in an iconic sort of place. The only place that matches, if it's not Manchester United, and you can't go to these other clubs because they're either rivals and it's a big no-no, would be the likes of like Real Madrid or Barcelona. But Real Madrid obviously don't want him, and Barca had some interest in him. So the Barca thing just makes sense. I think he's actually, in a certain sense, he's quite desperate for Barca. And that's quite clear, because if he wasn't so desperate, he wouldn't wait so fucking long to go make a transfer. So he's kind of hoping that this materializes, because I do believe like he can still go to a good club somewhere And there might be a couple of the clubs interested in him. But I think him and his people personally, they're like, if we leave Manchester United and we don't go to Barcelona, wherever we go is a step down. Regardless of our position, it's a step down in stature. It's a step down in name. It's a step down in attention. It's a step down in iconicness. You know, these whoever it would be, even a team like Villa, you know, he was considering maybe to stay there for the Champions League, but maybe he kind of wasn't at the same time. But maybe it was something that was like, you know what, decent team. It'll help me get back into England, and we're in Champions League, so we'll take it for now. Good enough. But considering that they're not there anymore, now I think he's just like, no, I'm pursuing this originally. Or maybe he just made it seem that way because he used Villa, strung them along. And his intentions was always, after the season's over, I'm going to go, and kind of just like beg for Barcelona. So, Manchester Spinal Tap United turn it up to 11. At Barca, Rashford would have to play central as the 9, a true centre forward, a role which Lewandowski currently fills. I thought Rashford didn't like that role, though. He prefers playing wide. I don't know, actually. It's a good point, Box, because, well, here's the thing. I know for a fact that he definitely doesn't like to play on the right. I think at one point, though, there was a point where I think that, if I remember correctly, the feeling around it was that, like, he thought that he could play number 9 and that he wanted to play 9. But we tried it and it didn't necessarily work for us. And then our fan base, and then I guess the coaches as well, decided that it's not going to work. So then he was just like, I'll just stick to my left wing position because obviously that's where I do better. Maybe he wants to become like this focal point of a striker. Again, I don't know what goes on with these people. It seems, again, for him, there's always been this talk about sort of this brand and this PR. So it makes it quite weird. I wish I knew exactly the people around him and the people involved with him. I don't know why it's specifically a thing for him. When you talk about him, it's like, it's almost like a certain level of like it's almost like he's been pushed from like this like sort of like this outside force to be pushed in this corner, like to be like the same level as like, a Beckham or a Ronaldo or a Messi, like a brand, like public figure sort of thing like that. And I don't know how much of that has an effect on all the decision makings, because he might prefer to play left wing, but if the people around him have heavy influence on him and he does like everything they say, and they tell him, well, listen, go to Barca, play number 9, and you're golden. You play striker. You're the main guy in the Barcelona team. You can absolutely do it because you're the best player in the world, and who's better than you? And your brand will be popping, and you'll be amazing, and you'll be in England for sure. Even though he's already come back, but you'll be in England for sure. I mean, I don't know if that's how that goes, but because I don't know what happens, but it's always been strange for him because he's one of the only guys, one of the only players you ever hear people talking about his brand and, people around him and these influences and these people making decisions for him and stuff like that. I mean, nobody else gets talked about in that manner. Nobody says these things for, anybody. I don't know, pick somebody from our squad. You don't hear it. I mean, they don't even talk about it in the sense of somebody like Ronaldo or something like that, or even Beckham. I mean, they were kind of their own people. Uh, they had their brand, but it was them really doing the brand. But for Rashford, it's always like these outside people like leached onto him and propelled it, and it's not even something that he's really that into or wasn't originally that into, but has become into it. So it's weird. It's really weird. Yamal and Rafinha will have them wide rows locked down for the foreseeable. Well, yeah. Rashford should play center forward. The service he'd get from them too, plus the likes of Pedri, Gavi, Almo will be unreal. Yeah. So I guess maybe he's not too against it. I think he did want to play striker for us. I think he did want to play number 9 for us at one point, but I think it didn't necessarily go well. I think I think he was aware of the backlash from the fans at United because again, if you have a brand and a lot of things you do about PR, then your people, whether it's him or his people, they're paying attention to what people are saying and what people are thinking. And I'm sure he probably became aware of that. So they probably just maybe were like, dude, just go back to left wing because you performed your best there and we need you to be your best so that we could have the brand the best possible. I don't know. I don't know. Boxes, he'd get a lot of chances, so he won't have to be clinical or be under the pressure to finish all the time. Yeah, and it's Spanish football, so it probably plays out better for him because he doesn't have to be. It's not as physical, so it'll probably work out for him. Because he still does have speed, and stuff like that. And I think in Spanish football, he probably would be able to play the number 9. Whereas in England, he probably maybe can't because it's a lot more physical and you got to be a lot more stronger, which I don't think he's strong enough. But the different type of football in Spain and it being less physical than the Prem, I think probably works to his advantage in that scenario. Rashford would be unreal in Spain, probably. I mean, it tends to happen, probably, especially if he goes to Barca. I mean, Barca's a good club, and you got Hansi, and they're doing well, and they just won the league, so and they play a very good brand of football and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, again, that's why I think he's going to hold out for it because it's his best move possible that he has on the table. Anywhere else that he goes, it's going to be considered lesser for sure. It's literally Barca or it's pretty much bust to a certain extent. So, if Anthony can make it, everyone can. Well, maybe you have a point there. Actually, it's a perfect segue because I did have something on Anthony just to end the show. So Anthony, he did a bit of an interview, um, and he opened up on just how challenging it was during his struggles at Old Trafford. And he said, coming to Betis changed a lot because I needed to find myself because of everything I went through in my personal life. As I said, I wanted to do things, but they didn't seem to work out because I wasn't happy. I didn't feel that desire to play football, and I needed to find myself and be happy again because playing football was always something I loved. I went through difficult times at Manchester United when I no longer felt that pleasure. I even always told my brother, I told him that I couldn't take it anymore. And my whole thing about that is, I mean, I don't know exactly what he was talking about specifically when he's saying things like what was going on in his personal life per se, and how that's trying to, I mean, I know he had that off-field issue, but I don't know what else was going on. And I assume by what he says, I wanted to do things, but they didn't seem to work out because I wasn't happy. I assume he's saying on the pitch. But also, I mean, he wasn't happy because he wasn't playing good either, probably, I would say. My thing is like the last line, where he says, I told him that I couldn't take it anymore. You know, when I read this, it could be a bit far of a stretch, but this is where I was talking about pressure at Manchester United. And he didn't mention that, but that's sort of the vibe I get from him saying this sort of stuff. I think the pressure at United and for him to perform, I think crumbled him. I think he absolutely was crumbled by it starts by not performing well, and the pressure continues to build. And the more you don't play well, the more pressure comes. And Manchester United is massive. And I think it ate him alive. I do. And he's gone to Betis. It's a change of scenery. It's a different club. It's a fresh start. If you have the mentality to at least do that the very much, and start fresh. And Betis is not United. It is it's totally different. That's where I would say something to. That's where I would say something to Axe. He tells me to stop comparing Sporting to Manchester United when I say what Ruben did at Sporting, even though I'm talking about our manager and just his managerial history. Um, but then he does mention Anthony and says how good he is, but then doesn't hold the same factor in that he says Anthony's doing well, but it's not like Anthony's playing for Manchester United 2.0. He's playing for fucking Real Betis. So, um, I mean, clearly, I think the pressure ate him alive. I think he was absolutely. I don't think he could handle it, and this is what I'm saying. Like, if you can't handle the pressure, you can't be at this football club, dude, because you're not going to succeed. You're gonna get eaten alive. You're gonna get destroyed. It's gonna destroy you. We have 18 likes. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't refresh on your end, so you might see it. What do you mean, Rajat? Rajat V is late. Rajat was here way earlier, but I don't know what happened to him. He just left. So, but he was here way earlier. Yeah, but so just to close out the show, because this isn't the only thing about Anthony. The real thing about Anthony is that Mail Sport. I don't know why that's so small, but says Betis, Atletico Madrid, and now Juventus are interested in signing Anthony this summer. Manchester United demanding between 30 to 35 million pounds, which I saw that and I was like, well, what? I was like, well, what happened to the fucking 40 million? Because as Box is saying, it says make it 40 million. I mean, so this is the thing that I'm trying to understand. So in the beginning, it was just Betis, and it was being quoted 40 million. Now, two other teams have jumped in along with Betis, and all of a sudden the price has gone down 5 to 10 million. How's that work? It's supposed to go the other way. Like, if it's just Betis and it was at 40 million, maybe you could see how it goes to 35 or 30 because they say they can't necessarily afford it. But if you have two other teams jumping in and they want him, I mean, it's supposed to go the opposite way. It's supposed to go to 45, maybe 50 if you get even lucky. Not backwards. So all of a sudden, Atletico Madrid and Juventus also are now involved, and then all of a sudden the price has just dissipated 5 to 10 million. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. We should be going again minimum 40, and if we can create a bidding war, even better. Even though we kind of can't really create a bidding war, well, I don't really buy Betis. I don't really believe them. I really don't. They say they really want him and they're desperate to keep him, but apparently they really can't afford the 40 million. I really don't believe that. I don't believe them at all. I don't. I think they're playing. I think they're playing a little bit. I think they're playing a little bit dumb. I think, in a sense, I think they're playing dumb. I think they're trying to weasel the price down, because they know United want to sell him, and they're trying to pay less. So they're trying to say that we don't have the money. I don't know if you ever had a friend like that or something like that, or you knew somebody that, like that one person that they have money, and they're good. But they always just like walk around acting like they literally don't have money, in any sense. I kind of feel like it's kind of like that. Like, I don't believe them that they can't afford 40 million. It's amortization. You would literally be paying less than 10 million a year on a 5-year contract. So like, how can you not afford that? You know, how can you not afford that? Never going to make plans with him. What with that kind of timekeep? Anthony just been recalled for the Brazil squad. Yes, good chance. Good shout. For the first time in 18 months, Don Carlo rates him, make him 50. Make it 50. I mean, well, he is playing good and he is scoring goals. And he's performing well, so why wouldn't he get called up? But yeah, I think you know, there's one guy out there that he says he made up a rule for every post that Real Betis make about him, raise the price by 5 million. And they've been making quite a lot of posts about him. I mean, you know, just another news story, him being recalled to Brazil squad literally raised the price by 5 million just for being recalled to the Brazil squad by Don Carlo Ancelotti. So yeah, we just keep it going up. Every time they mention his name, every time the Real Betis account posts a photo of him, just add 5 million to the price tag. We are not buying Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin belongs at the same football club that Gareth Southgate belongs, and it ain't our club. They belong at Scunthorpe. That's where they belong, both of them. Whatever happened to Anthony's case, since he might get back into the Brazil squad, that means it didn't. Yeah, I think it was like dropped or something. I think it was like. From as far as I know, it just kind of disappeared. Nothing really came out of it, and it went away. So, I think it was dropped because from what I heard, they said that it wasn't true or something like that. I think so. I think it got dropped. Come on, Betis beat Chelsea on Wednesday. Yo, yeah, that's another thing. Like they're in the conference league final, yeah. So if Betis wins, there's no way you can't tell me that they don't got money to do this deal. There's just no way. I don't believe them in any sort of way. Yeah, I remember Lyle. I remember something about like, you know, he took a little bit. He was out for a little bit because he said that, you know, it was fake and that he was gonna get it sorted. They put out, I think it was like his lawyer or something. They did they talked to the police or whatever. They presented evidence or something like that. And then it kind of just was done because I think there probably wasn't a real case or something like that. And the whole thing pretty much got dropped. So, Fox says, imagine an Anthony winner. That would be lovely. Well, I mean, if he does that, probably for him to sign himself to the football club. So then he starts dabbing and doing the moonwalk past Sancho crying. Yeah, he should oh man, I mean, if he does that, he should just give one of these to Sancho. I mean, do it for me, Anthony. I would. They'd suspend me. I'd still do it though. 100%. I'd give him one of these. I'd make some face or some shit. I'd do something. I'd get suspended for sure, but it'd be well worth the fine. They could fine me. It's fine. I'd pay it. I get paid enough money per week. If Anthony wins it and plays a blinder, what would that up his asking price? Again, I would up it. I would up it now. You know, the more that he keeps doing better, I would just up it. Because I'm like, well, he's clearly performing amazing for you. You need to be able to pay this if you want to keep him. You know, force their hand. Why are we trying to, you know, just because we don't want him, why would we be cutting price? I mean, it's not like he's had an okay time. He's been their best player by far, and he's only came in January, and he's, you know, He's one of the top performing players in La Liga since January. So why are we taking pay cuts? You can't afford it? Too bad. You know? Too bad. You know, just like everybody else in the world. You want a Corvette, you want a Ferrari, you want a Lambo? Oh, you don't have the money? Too bad. Like it's not like you go to the Lambo place and they're like, yeah, the Lambo is, 1.1 million, and you tell them, oh, I only have 700,000, and they'll be like, oh yeah, we'll give it to you for 700K. They didn't tell you fuck off. We should do the same. It would be 80 million. We could listen, if he goes into the finals, scores a hat trick versus Chelsea, and secures them that trophy and win, we could easily see 100 million for Anthony. 100%. I mean, by the time he finishes his career at Real Betis, they're gonna build him a statue outside the stadium. They're gonna rename, one of the streets in the town after him. Then when he retires, he'll become, some type of he'll be the mayor or some shit. He'll get elected into a position. It'd be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. So, yeah. But we're about to get out of here. But before we do, because I gotta go do things, I just want to make sure and check. Well, here's your buddy Chris Wheeler. Lions. Your buddy Chris Wheeler has come back in now, saying, Chelsea boss Enzo Maresca has coached Liam Delap for a season while together at Manchester City. Chelsea are hoping Maresca's influence can give them the edge in persuading Delap to join them ahead of Manchester United and others. Chris Wheeler just this guy doesn't give up, man. He doesn't give up, dude. He came out with a story saying that Chelsea are in the lead for Liam Delap now, and then all of a sudden Rob Dawson comes in and blows that shit wide open and puts Manchester United back in pole position. And now Chris Wheeler coming back out trying to refortify his position, talking about now it's not Champions League football. Now it's Chelsea are hoping to use Enzo Maresca because he coached them for one season at City. It has nothing to do with Champions League now. Now it's just all about the manager, apparently. Chris Wheeler also saying Manchester United, Chelsea, Newcastle United, and Everton have all made a pitch to Liam Delap in recent days. Delap will decide this week which club will give him the best opportunity to further his career. Well, we've already agreed terms with both club and players, so I don't know. We'll see. It should be one for this week though. So I hope we get our second target in. At the very least, best way possible. Wheeler always trying to piss in my portions. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. You guys are the best. Shout out to everybody that smashed the like button. Shout out to all the people in the chat. Lions, Box, Lyle, Grace, Ray. Rajat was here at some point. Lucky was here for a little bit as well. Axe was here, but he was brushing his teeth, and I don't know, must have went crazy for brushing his teeth. So maybe he was just listening. But yeah, shout out to everybody. Thank you if you smashed the like button. If you didn't hit the like button, make sure you hit the like button on the way out, because that is important, and we gotta get that done. So yeah. Nice win for the Knicks. Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was big. We were down by 20 points yesterday, and I was like, that's it. I was like, it's over, and then I was out, so I wasn't watching it properly, but when I went to go on the way back home, I put it on my phone and I'm like, holy shit, we're winning 94-92. We've come back from 20 points down. And then we ended up getting over the line and winning the game. So we've given ourselves a good shot because we would have been 3-0 down. Now it's 2-1. Still got to play another game in Indiana. So let's see. We got to get that done. And that's going to be, I think we got to play tomorrow. So, yeah, Knicks are back in it. That's a positive at the very least. And let's see what they're going to do. Wheeler must be a Chelsea affiliated journey. Maybe he's a Chelsea fan. Maybe he's a Chelsea fan. I can't say if Wheeler's a Chelsea fan, but I can tell you what he actually is. Well, I think I have an idea. So schedule for the rest of the week. I think we just got to play it by ear. So you guys have to bear with me. I think I know you guys prefer if I give you set days and times. But considering now that we're in like unknown territory in terms of there's no matches or anything like that, so every day is just a news day. It's just a news cycle. And you know, some days we'll have bigger and more better news than others. I don't know if we'll necessarily stream tomorrow. I might take the day off. Depends how the news goes though. So I'll keep you guys, of course, updated in the Discord and let you guys know when we go live, if I'm gonna go live. If we do go live anytime during this week, it's gonna be whatever day it may be. It's going to be at the same time we went live today, so 3 p.m. EST, 8 p.m. UK time. At the very least, because today is Monday, so at the very least, worst comes to worst. Well, obviously, we're always gonna do the Friday freestyle type of thing. So Friday we will have a show for sure, and we're gonna do that for sure. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we'll see how it goes. We'll take a day off somewhere or something like that, and we'll stream for sure. So I'll keep you guys updated. So you know, I keep my eye on the news because when I get home, it's about a little bit before we're supposed to go live. So I should have a good amount of time to set up the show at least, or set it up quickly and do the show. So if there's something to talk about, which I'm sure there probably will be, but if there's something to talk about, we'll go live. But yeah, I'll let you guys know. But Friday for sure, we'll do Friday freestyle, and Sunday shows are always good as well. So we could do a Sunday show as well. So yeah, we will see. We will see. I saw Mason Mount smiling with a plate of food on an airplane. Are you sure it wasn't Luke Shaw? Are you sure it wasn't Luke Shaw, Box? It was Mason Mount smiling with a plate of food. Last says cheers, Eric and all your Reds. Yep, cheers. I'm gonna get out of here. I need to get out of here for sure. For real. So thank you guys. We'll talk later. Keep up in the chat if you want. Get in the comments after I end the show. Those are very good, and we like those. And yeah, take care. Everybody have a good rest of your day, Monday. Be safe, stay safe, and we'll see each other again very soon. And we'll stay active in the Discord at the very least. And I'll keep you guys posted there. So thank you for tuning in. Be good.